Wake up, gamers, because you're listening to the Big Think Dimension with Dan and Bob Video Games. Bob betrayed and left in the Big Think Dimension.
Oh no!
Chris Wolfhard.
A survivor is born.
And Dr. Aggro.
Remember, in space, no Russian.
Here on GigaBoots.
Why would Russia be in space?
I don't know.
Apparently it's not.
Oh, huh. Well, fucking more you know.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Big Think Dimension number 217.
I'm very excited to talk to you about video games and video games news. This is news for gamers about gaming.
Do you think the algorithm picked up on it yet?
No. One more time.
Gaming news.
I'm just going to read, as we always do on the opening of Big Think Dimension, I'm just going to read a series of tags.
Mario.
Celebrity gossip. Mario.
Daisy.
Fortnite.
Daisy.
I feel so
League of
monetized.
Legends. Elon Musk. Twitter.
Daisy. Athletic. Sportswear.
Okay, I think that did it. I think we're good. I think we're good. We're probably good. Bob?
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
So we played Skyward Sword HD last week. I really, really enjoyed that game, even when it hit the classic Zelda filler moment, which happened really late in this one, which I need to be clear. Classic 3D Zelda filler moment.
From Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and no others.
Well, it kind of defined the era when after Ocarina it started feeling like, throw the lever, we have no money. Even that was only like 1/3 terrible. And half of it was like, it has 3/3. And honestly, overall, not that long. At least is my recollection of it 25 hours into the stream.
Right.
But I felt like if it was long, it would have felt longer. Because, of course, we're 25 hours into said stream.
You were, for part of it, reassembling a microphone. So that might have distracted you.
But that was during your part, which is the worst part.
That was the worst part.
Bob, you are the worst.
You are the worst, Bob. That part was terrible because of you and only you.
I knew it.
So you get to, like, there are 3 main kingdoms, you might refer to them as, in Skyward Sword. And you have to go back to do the filler and eat all the eggs in these kingdoms. And the first one I did was the forest one, which gets, like, completely submerged. And you have to swim around collecting notes. And it literally becomes Banjo-Kazooie. And that was like bizarre and funny in its bizarreness, but also absolutely terrible because the control scheme felt bad. What it wanted you to do sucked.
Yeah, and then the explanation for it was also just upsetting. Is it's like the one dude you'd helped all throughout the game was like, I need you one more thing.
You've literally changed my life and made me a billionaire, but I'm going to need you to do one more favor to really prove that you're an ally. And it's like,
I need you to give me all your blood.
Right, yeah. I was not a big fan of that. Bob seemed to hate the stealth segment more, though. So I consider my segment mid. I don't know how Bob
that stealth segment sure was a little better than the one Ocarina of Time, and that's it.
Man.
Yeah.
Man. I thought the one at Ocarina of Time was fine. It's not a great part of that game. It might be the worst part of that game.
It's the worst part of that game, but it's also really short. This was not that.
Yeah. Aggro, you got any hot Zelda takes on Ocarina of Time's stealth segment? You're like, no, I don't remember that.
Like all these years later, the biggest part of it. Wait, which one are we talking about?
We're talking
the
about
one in the castle.
No. That one's funny. We're talking about like the Gerudo prison or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's like the most glitch-prone area in the entire game.
Yeah.
So I kind of forget it's a stealth segment and think of it more as a wacky Link flying around, getting to chests he shouldn't be able to segment.
I don't know if we brought this up before when we brought out the PC decompilation of Ocarina of Time, but there's a checkbox that's like disable. disable stealth segment.
Yeah, he just turns off their ability to see you entirely.
Oh
so you
God.
just throw away.
Oh, I can't wait until that's done.
Yeah, we need that. We need them to figure out how to keep it running at 60.
Yes.
That's my
Yes,
only
that's
problem.
what I'm waiting for.
That's my only problem. It's still weird to see it lock 20, to be frank, in 4K and widescreen. Like, that's already like, what? But yeah, anyways, back to Skyward Sword. The third one was really cool. It was just new content and story stuff and really neat.
Yeah, that was a lot of cool stuff there.
Meanwhile, first third is, as we described, a rich person tells you you haven't made them rich enough and they're not sure they can trust you. Then his segment is a gust of wind knocks all your shit off virtually.
Yes.
And you have to re-get it all. They very eat all these eggs, those moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's my proposition. And I'm going to start with where I came into this. I came into this having years of Bob telling me Skyward Sword is really good. And every time he says this into a microphone and we're live, people chat and go, nah, that sucked. And I'm like,
I'd heard nothing but, that game is actually terrible.
yeah.
Just from what I've seen, like, no, people saying that game is bad are obviously wrong.
It's really weird because I was ready for Bob to be wrong. You know, it's not that I inherently distrusted his opinion. I was just open to the idea that maybe he was in a space and a time where it really landed for him in a way that it did no one else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even I was like, I don't know, maybe I just have some weird memories of it because it was
12 years ago.
Yeah, it was 12 years ago.
Yeah, because 2011.
Mm-hmm.
If that game didn't have motion controls, it would be praised as the best 3D Zelda, and Breath of the Wild would have to live up to it. Unfortunately, it has motion controls, and they did not solve that problem with the new version.
No.
They have a way for you to play without the motion controls, which is hit the stick in the direction you want to slice, but you need to hit it a certain amount of times. And in order to do certain special techniques, you need to hit up, the down, then up, or up twice. And then, it's just not good enough.
Yeah.
It's not a good enough solution to the point where we spend over 90% of the stream with the motion controls turned back on, which are better on the Wii original with the Wii Motion Plus.
Mm-hmm. Because a ton of it's like, it doesn't know what forward is. And you need to reset it every time, whereas that wouldn't be a case on the Wii Motion Plus.
Yeah, like literally most of that stream is us getting down the muscle memory of, okay, you need to do anything with the sword, start by hitting the Y button. Like, by the end of it, you can just hear nonstop us hitting the Y button.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is no action you take on any machine more often, like a car, a Windows PC, anything, more than you will hit the Y button to begin the operation in Skyward Sword on the Switch. Even still, that game is a freaking great Zelda game. There are so many cool areas and cool gameplay segments. Like, there's an ocean that is just sand because time has robbed it of all of its moisture and life.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a crystal that makes a bubble of the past, and you use that to sail the ocean through the desert of sand. It is so cool.
Yeah, it's just filled with crazy cool ideas like that. It has the best dungeons in 3D Zeldas, I think.
That is what I've heard.
That's
Just,
crazy.
you know,
It's
drowned
wild
out by
how
all
you
the motion
really
controls.
can see like a direct thread from Skyward Sword to Breath of the Wild in terms of having insane mechanics.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't expect that either. I also didn't expect superb dungeon design. I thought a lot of it was going to be the dumb, because when there's plant type enemies throughout the whole game, it's like, you need to slice me horizontally, you need to slice me vertically. And I thought, that's going to be the dungeon design.
That's about as far as I got on the Wii version before I'm like, no.
Yeah. It's not clever enough to feel fun, and it should not be most of the encounters.
Right.
But very early on, they did that. Yeah.
The moment this goes on, quote unquote, sale, meaning $45 on this 3-year-old game because it's Nintendo, I'll probably get it.
Yeah. Absolutely stellar game. I'm shocked.
Yeah, I honestly, like, revisiting Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, I remember why I was just tired of Zelda dungeons. Those suck. Genuinely, every dungeon plays out like get to new room, do puzzle in that room, then continue, and then it's like it feels like room to room just solve a small puzzle
because they designed a room's puzzle instead of a puzzle dungeon.
Yes.
By Twilight Princess, it had really run out of steam.
Yeah, and that just, it's so bad. Whereas almost every dungeon in this game is like, no, think about the entire dungeon.
Which is cool because I feel like that's how Ocarina was. Ocarina had a lot of like, just to say the obvious one, water temple. But there's also things like the forest temple. When you're adult Link, there's ways the rooms wrap back into each other that you need to manage and understand in a 3D space in order to travel forward, which was really neat. I really enjoyed playing through Ocarina of Time completely for the first time 2 years ago, and this really felt the most like that since.
Yeah.
It's such a shame it had the motion controls. The Wii fucking killed Zelda, basically.
Right? Like the motion controls, and the other thing that seems to upset people is that it kind of doesn't have an overworld. It like...
Oh, I thought it was the bird statue.
That upset one person.
No, apparently. I did not know that. Feel free to watch the VOD when it goes up on YouTube. We're gonna start a whole new generation of people upset over bird statues.
But yeah, instead of an overworld, it feels like the areas are just more dungeons.
Yes, which is so cool.
Yeah, no, it's really neat.
It's
this is like getting into my stuff a little bit, but that's also how Minish Cap kind of is, where it's like, okay, there's these. You have like a very small, like Hyrule Field type area in the center of the map. But then all the other corners of the map that you have to go through to get to the dungeons feel like they're also dungeons. And you usually get some kind of new item in them even.
That's really neat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're sitting here on the precipice of finishing all the 3D Zeldas. The only two we haven't streamed now is Majora's Mask and Breath of the Wild, which, to be clear, we didn't promise anyone Breath of the Wild and Majora's Mask. I traded another streamer for them to beat Mario 64 because I'm a demented freak. Once we're done with that, we really should consider going back for the 2Ds. We need to do Link's Awakening straight into the Oracle game, straight into Minish.
I've been looking for an excuse to actually beat like one.
Yeah, because we got me and Bob in moment. That was years ago because we had free time.
Right.
Played through Zelda 1, got to like the 7th dungeon, went, damn, this dungeon has hands. And just stopped.
Yeah, me and my brother did the same thing not that many years ago. Was that the same event? Maybe not. I feel like, it might have just been when he was in town some other time a few years back and was like, yeah, we just played Zelda 1 until it got to the point where we couldn't anymore.
Yeah, it's and then your brother goes, that's right, we're gonna cheat. And he blows out a Game Genie.
Yeah.
No, that's probably what we did like when it came out.
That's which Bob owned a Game Genie for the NES. I had never seen them, so that was crazy.
They're neat.
I actually had the Super Nintendo Game Genie, but I'd never seen the NES one. There's just something weirdly different about you shove this into the front of it and then you shove it in, and it's just like, wait, is that safe?
It didn't seem it, but
it didn't seem it.
But
whatever, the NES design was inherently flawed anyways. I actually played enough NES where mine died, so I had to get the vertical loading one. So, I've always been that guy. I've always been that guy who just plays so much of the old console that I'm years into the new one, and I'm like, I need a new old console. So that was for me, the top loader was for me. If you were ever like, who did they make this thing for in 1991 or 2 or whenever that landed?
Yeah, I still am like, I never saw that thing till I met you.
Yeah.
Like, that was crazy seeing it.
It's such a good design, and the controller feels so much better because they looked at the Super Nintendo controller. They're like, oh, right, it should be shaped like things that go in a hand.
No. Corners are the true power.
That's true power. But yeah, we should absolutely, because have you ever beaten Zelda 2?
No.
So there you go. You should beat Zelda 2. I already did it on Avenging My Youth with my co-host Voxandra from voxandra.gay. And that's the fucking website. Type that into your fucking web browser. And Bob's laughing at her web domain because he said her web domain's gay. You're like, but it is literally gay. But yeah, no, you need to beat Zelda 2. I need to do another run of Link to the Past that is way into a stream. And I'm trying to guide 2 people through it simultaneously.
Yeah.
And manage chat. And then we need to beat Zelda 1 and then just marathon these other ones because like
it would be cool to do that the Link Between Worlds like on stream. I know it's a pain because it's 3DS, but it'd be neat.
I mean, it's as far as I remember from what the game's gameplay is, it wouldn't be that bad because we could just use an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
Using the cool like tech that the homebrew community made for that. That would be cool. That'd be really neat.
I mean, I think that people have been waiting for years for you and Bob to each take an Oracle game and play them at the same time.
And then Bob's like, "Why did I have to get the combat one? All this is combat rooms. Dan gets the real game."
Hey Bob, I'm looking at a cool cutscene that's well drawn. What are you doing? I'm already in the village.
Oh, no.
Don't they have a Mr. Core that runs 2 Game Boy cores at the same time? I feel like that's the ideal way to do this stream.
Jesus.
Oh my god. How many game overs will there be on both sides? Or it's like, I was looking at the wrong side.
Can you imagine? I get up, use the restroom, come back, and I'm just looking at the wrong one and run into a pit immediately. But yeah, Skyward Sword was really good. I did not expect it to be that good. It's a shame the terrible motion controls and the Skyward Strike is ruined because that becomes integral at a certain point. That was a really great stream. I'm really glad everyone stopped by for it. You know, we just don't get to do so. There aren't many games that are perfectly too long to be a sane death stream. So they get a little insane, but aren't completely insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that good zone somewhere above 24 hours, but beneath like 40.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, if we did Breath of the Wild, if it would have landed around 30. Like, if we had just some sort of vague, like, okay, we're going to get these dungeons, these beasts done, and have a vague sense of where they are.
Yeah.
If we could make that happen in 30.
Should be simple enough.
Like the timer goes off at 30 hours and you have to stop whatever you're doing, run straight toward Hyrule Castle and finish.
Yeah. We were actually talking about a stream concept that was just a rotating set of chairs for an entire weekend. It's just people come by, like aggro stops by, and we play some Breath of the Wild and it keeps going the whole time. And then the timer goes off and okay, time to end the stream. Go to the Hyrule Castle.
So much was accomplished.
Oh,
wait, nothing was accomplished.
I got none of the beasts, but I did so many shrines. And I got a great horse. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say about Skyward Sword. It feels great that we got one Zelda that is 3D and had absolutely amazing temples, the dungeons and stuff.
Yeah.
It's such a shame it's straddled with motion controls because I know that made every human on Earth nope out of it.
Right. It also has lots of cool new weapon ideas, like items or whatever. What do you call equipment in Zelda?
Items.
Yeah. It's got a bunch of different interesting things for that.
You get these amazing weapons like net.
And just even what they do with the motion controls for the bombs, like making it so you can roll them,
you can bowl them, or toss it overhead.
Like, thank you. You've added versatility to these things, in interesting ways that make them fun to interact with.
It sure helped that they had 5 whole years to make a Zelda game. Turns out that's just how long they have to keep a Zelda game in the oven to make a really good one, because they basically did it again, if not a little bit longer, with Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, and then they did it again for Tears, so hopefully that's good.
After Skyward Sword, it became 6 years.
Yeah? Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But that is with that extra year delay that was obviously to get it off the Wii U.
Yeah, which is important. True. You need those sales. It couldn't be a port of a game that came out 6 months ago.
No.
You need it to launch on the Wii U.
Never mind that Mario Kart 8 has sold 60 million copies and is like the second best-selling game of all time. The only thing better than is Minecraft.
Jesus.
Of course. But this is how we know they're never going to make a Switch 2. Because they're launching Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch 1. We're just stuck with the Switch one forever now, guys.
That's how it is.
They couldn't it couldn't be the same situation as that Pokemon leak where there's just going to be a patch to make it run better on the Switch too.
That's impossible. Literally impossible. There's no way.
I feel so bad that even today I was like, that Switch OLED with Zelda on it looks really good.
I mean, it does.
It really does. Like,
These
you
are
say
just
patch
facts.
to make it run better. I say $20 DLC to make it run better.
Yeah, I guess that's it for Skyward Sword. I wish more people got to play to the cooler parts of that, because I will agree that the opening with the leaf, like the forest area where you're fighting a lot of plants, isn't exactly a banger opening.
No.
It's not bad, but there is so much motion control stuff that I could see why people would just tune out.
Yeah, that first dungeon feels like the only really simple one.
And it is really simple.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, this is just really basic to the dark basics, basically.
Right. Yeah, this is it. It is a Zelda dungeon shaped dungeon.
It is maybe 8 rooms.
Yeah. Yeah. Even still pretty neat with the beetle. You get to fly the beetle
the
drone
flying
around.
beetle is fun.
Yeah, the second half of it does a couple neat things before you beat it, and yeah.
Yeah, and all the bosses are really neat too. Like that freaking thing that is on an harsh incline.
Yeah, it's on a ramp, literally a narrow ramp all the way down, and you have to fight it, and it keeps rolling back down at you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Eric took that fight. That was really cool looking. I love the boss fights, but there is one weakness to this game aside from motion control. And I've never heard anybody bring it up. So glad to be the only smart person on the internet. Anyway, they do a really bad job. Like, and you see this in a lot of video games, not usually this far into running the franchise, but you see this in a lot of video games where they do a really bad job of motivating the character to go to a place and what actions occur there and how it changes the story for the first like 8-10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
For the first 8 or 10 hours, it's like you're going to the second area because that's where the second thing is, and then that bad guy's there and he's sassy and gay coded at you, where he calls you a soft boy.
He does actually call you soft.
I saw chat blow up with soft boy, and I'm like, what the fuck are they? And then I look at the screen, and it literally is him calling, like Girahim calling Link a soft boy. I'm like, okay, all right, that's what we're doing. Cool. I didn't realize they were going that far in this game.
One of the final bosses in Bayonetta Origins is like, you're soft, is one of the things they say when they attack.
And then the other attacks, they go, you're hard. Ooh.
Imagine trying to like intimidate a 6-year-old in your boss fight.
Uh-huh. You're a wimpy baby. How did he know? Anyways, that's gonna do it. I'm done talking about it.
Yeah.
You got any other comments before I just roll on out of here?
Fee does suck. It's
Fee sucks.
unfortunate that she does.
I'm sorry, Fee fans. She sucks.
I think her design's really cool.
She really does.
It's so unfortunate they didn't write anything. It's like a blank slate.
Yeah, Aggro, let me explain to you. So imagine someone wrote Siri as an NPC, an important NPC who will never shut up in a Zelda game, where it's just like,
I was alive and could speak either English or Japanese. I could have been living literally under a rock and know how much Fee sucks.
So that was unfortunate. I wish there was more of a character there. There's no excuse for there to not be more of a character there, because spoilers for Skyward Sword, we're starting the
Oh no.
It says Twilight Princess, but just change it in your brain to say Skyward Sword.
You got this, man.
Girahim and Fee are literally the same thing, except for Girahim has a personality and Fee doesn't at all. There is no excuse.
Yeah, none.
Okay, that'll do it.
All right.
That's all I wanted to know.
I think again, that's a thing that's in Minish Cap, where the hat will often pipe up and be like, sounds like we need to go do X. But that's a lot different in a 2D game, where he just, like, the hat will just do an animation and text box takes literally less than a second.
Right. It's
versus
about
versus Skyward Sword, where she pops out, she says uses her fucking GLaDOS gibberish voice.
Mm-hmm.
to talk at you and then pops back in. And I also think that the hat in Minish Cap does it much less frequently.
Yeah, also there's a amount of text you need to say a thing. Like, we talk about it often. In fact, we talked about it in a Resident Evil 4 remake episode of Force Feedback of brevity is important, and you can continue to talk about a thing if your character is saying a thing or you're building out the world or something else. But no, they just use... They're like me when I'm at my worst. They use 300 words to tell you what 10 could have.
Yes, and a lot of times it's like 80% chance of such and such and such is literally just repeating the exact thing an NPC just told you.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
I feel like me and Bob talk about this a lot, but Genshin Impact, where every scene takes twice as long because Paimon has to commentate on every single thing, every single line.
As it turns out, Genshin Impact is the anime most ideal to watch and fast forward. But yeah, that's it. I'm done talking about Skyward Sword. If you go listen to the Resident Evil 4 remake episode of Force Feedback, I don't intend to do 2 plugs for this in like 2 minutes. In it, Chris says how many times he believes he has beaten Resident Evil 4, and I believe it was 25.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Having realized my number of times I beat Mario 64 was too close to the number of times he's beaten Resident Evil 4, I beat Mario 64 3 more times in the last week. So now I'm up at 30. I'm trying to get the 70-star run shorter, which is difficult because it makes you view the game in a very bizarre light.
Right.
It becomes, walking to this painting will take this long, but the star is this much easier to get there. You know, Mips appears in the basement at 50 stars. Doesn't make any sense to wait for that. Do I need the vanishing cap? Well, it gives me like 2 easy stars, but then I have to walk all the way over there, you know, drain the water. I have to drain the swamp, go outside, jump in the hole, do that. And yes, I can get a star while doing that, but still. So anyways, that's been fun because up until this last week, I never once played Mario 64 with what are the shortest stars to get. I always played
just
in my...
off the top of my head, I feel like it must be unnatural to be like, you go into Bob on Battlefield, you immediately go pound that thing to let off the chain chomp and get that star, then you never go back to Bob on Battlefield because all the stars involve climbing the entire fucking mountain.
Yeah, you would think it has to be something like that. You would think. I'm still revising it over and over. Keep in mind, one of the things I finally looked into how to do in this game. So if I were to stream Mario 64, it would actually look pretty different from us doing that only a month ago. Now, is the thing where you run straight up the slope that you shouldn't be able to by doing a weird jump kick from the standing position to just give yourself unnatural momentum. You do that and you can get to the top in like 33 seconds. And it becomes, well, then you have to do the battle though. What if you did a perfect triple jump into a dive to go across to that floating island? Would it make sense then? There's a lot of factors. There's a lot of factors, and I'm playing on N64 hardware, which means levels that run bad are also a concern. Is Bowser's sub there? Then Dire Docks is always going to run like shit.
Yeah.
So anyways, I've been really enjoying that. I'm going to keep working at that. I think if I were to submit my time, I would be 1,006th place, which is really low, which is why I don't speedrun. I'm not the type of gamer who can perfectly functionally do a thing over and over. For example, I've never gotten the bomb to push me backwards to clip through the bars to get the chain chomp thing even faster.
Right.
I'm just not that tier, and that's fine by me. But if I want to get that time lower, maybe I should get there. Anyways, that's it for me talking about Mario 64. Hey, Bob.
Hey.
What have you been playing?
I finished Bayonetta Origins this week.
Cool.
That whole game is... The story feels really slowly told, and there isn't much to tell. So it's neat, but the back half feels like it stops having interesting puzzle things to do with the two analog sticks and becomes a bunch about the combat. And the combat just isn't good enough for that. Yeah, so I can't really recommend it. Like, it's really unfortunate too, because I think the art and the music and a lot of the style and all the ideas more early on in it were really fun. but it really runs out of those and is like, you go to these things called Turnanogs, and they're usually like, most of the game they were either a puzzle room or a combat room, and I felt like they were all combat rooms after like I hit the 2/3 through the game mark. And it was like, well, that's not fun. You gave me these new abilities that do have features for like maneuver around in new ways, but you didn't come up with ideas to use them. So it's just weird.
Bob, it has been so long since I've heard a human being say the phrase Tirnanog out loud that you sent my mind hurtling back to the Mystic Knights of Tirnanog.
Yeah, that's also where my brain went.
Oh my god, what is that?
The Mystic Knights of Tirnanog is a TV show that
yeah.
Saban made when they were like, well, we're going to try making our own entirely original Power Rangers type show. I had the sword from that show because they made toys, and it was pretty cool because it was like, if you've ever seen, I think they still have them in stores now. If you go see like the Nerf sword, it was like that, but it had like like electronics in the casing, so you could press a button to make sound.
Thank you, Toy Galaxy. Otherwise, I wouldn't know what they're talking about right now.
Yep. Sorry, Bob. Their new name's Secret Galaxy.
Oh, you're right.
Because they stopped covering toys directly.
That makes sense.
There's a pretty good Twin Peaks episode, by the way, in which they make a joke about firing the host Dan. They're like, we'll replace you. We have better replacements anyways. And the guy gets on the phone. He's like, hello, can I talk to Pixel Dan? Which is that guy who does toy videos elsewhere. And I just really like the notion that they would replace this Dan that talks about toys with a different Dan that talks about toys. That is just a lack of job security. It's like if there was an 8-bit Dan out there and Bob was like, you're fired. Let's get 8-bit Dan in here.
Another weird thing they do is there's a big upgrade tree, which is neat, but a ton of the upgrades are locked behind specific collectibles you find in the world. So I beat the game with like barely any of the stuff unlocked, even though I had thousands of points left to unlock stuff. Hundreds of EXP that I could spend on it, but I couldn't spend it on because you need to find the special demon heart or whatever, or the moon pearl. I'm like, guys,
this is depressing now.
This is and I didn't just mainline this. I often went like off the rails because there's always like these wolf tracks you follow to follow the main story. So you know exactly where to not go if you want to explore and find things that aren't, or that are off the beaten path. And a lot of times that would just lead me to more experience points. And it's like, well, I can't use these.
I have a spoilery question. So we're popping up and we're...
All right.
Hey, Bob.
Yeah, what's up?
Maybe I should change the on-screen text to shittily say... what is it called? Bayonetta Origins?
Yeah, let's just do that because the full title's like Cereza and the whatever demon.
Okay, guys, spoilers on Bayonetta Origins until you stop hearing the Dragon Quest music. Bob, is that entire game you chasing Luca on?
Yes.
Fuck that. Are you fucking serious?
What? Really?
Yes.
Is there even like anything in there to hint that they could undo everything that happened in 3?
So you beat the whole game. The whole game has nothing to do with that. There's a side mode where you play as Jean at the very end, which it gets inserted in some part of the story where literally the final boss of Bayonetta 3 comes back in time and is like, I found you to your memories. What?
The one thing that shouldn't ever be in anything ever again, they bring back.
Well, yeah, they gotta really deliver on his arc now.
That's
happening, right? They're really delivering.
He seems to have more of a character than he did in that game, but that's not saying anything.
No, that's not saying much. I should look up the end of this game.
Can't wait for Bayonetta 3's story to be so bad it's in this year's Game of the Year as well.
It's... I don't think I can think of a single other franchise that just immolated everything as hard as Bayonetta 3 did. Mass Effect 3 is more recoverable from than Bayonetta 3.
So what they do when he comes back in time, he shows Jean what will happen to her, like the literal scene of her dying. And she's like, no, I'll fight against my fate and all of this. So it's like the implication is there that maybe this having happened shows her the future and she's not going to follow the same path. but it's unclear. Like, they don't want to dedicate themselves to saying that this actually changed the future.
Okay, I'm going to turn off the spoiler music, and we're just not going to talk about this ever again.
Fair.
I'm going to wait for it to hit a...
So that's all I have to say about Baynor Origins.
Okay. Did you play anything else?
I did play a few other things.
What did you play?
I played Resident Evil Mercenaries mode, Resident Evil 4 Mercenaries mode.
Oh yeah, I played that too. Exhausted as fuck at the end of Thursday, and I half-assed it and died and still got an A and went, what?
Yeah, right?
I died, game. What do you mean I got an A?
There are lots of weird things like that. Like, you die, your score kill is saved.
Let's talk about the weirdest thing. The thing that I find the most concerning. They have 3 levels, and they named them after thirds of the game. And I'm like, what do you...
Yeah, right?
Wait, you aren't intending to bring more levels, or...
Yeah,
what do you mean there are only 3?
Woefully few levels. And naming them like that makes it sound like you're not going to make any more ever.
Yeah, the only hope is that they have Island 2.
Right? Which would make
Which would be fine, yeah. And I would buy more levels.
There's areas I imagine that they could probably include, and might.
Yeah.
Where it's like they could do the fish farm. They could do that one area where you fight the 2 sisters for the first time, where that has the building and all the ramps and shit outside it.
Oh yeah.
They could do a couple in the castle, like they could even do the water room in the castle.
There are a lot of parts of the game that I thought were making it into Mercenaries as I played them normally, and then there are only 3 levels, which is weird.
Yeah, I was baffled that there was no mine. Like, the mine felt like extremely mercenary mode.
Mm-hmm.
If they're putting in 4 more characters, I imagine there'll at least be a couple more levels.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like they launched with so few characters and so few stages. It's just strange. Like, there aren't even alternate outfits for Leon to give him different weapons or anything. It's just like, here you go. That's it.
Now, Capcom, I am loath to recommend you make a multiplayer thing. You seem really bad at that outside of Street Fighter. Make one of these stupid fucking service games that's just Mercenaries mode, but with co-op.
Yeah, I was telling Bob, like, they could do a whole $70 game that was that. And it would sell. Well, they should do 60, obviously.
Right.
But still, that is so much more promising than anything else they've done.
Yeah,
for one of those.
That'd be so much better than Exo Primal.
You could do literally every single Resident Evil character, and then if you want to remake something, you have their model already. You know, you have costumes, you have all these cosmetics, you have different loadouts. It would almost be like, kind of like Payday, because Payday has, you know, the different characters that go in with different loadouts.
Yeah, it's frustrating to see this in a kind of half-baked form. I also don't like a lot of the mechanical changes they did to it, which, let me be clear, I'm not talking about from
Mayhem
Resident Evil 4
Oh.
Mercenaries, because I haven't played that much. I played way too much Resident Evil 5 and 6 Mercenaries mode. It's really weird to come in this. There's no like concept of a bonus time where you get like extra combo points by picking up an item that gets you boost for
No, because they integrate that into Mayhem mode, because you get extra points for killing during Mayhem mode.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I think that those are neat mechanics, but I feel like I want both of them.
This is going to sound dumb. I'm falling back to the, I think it was in 2021, Chris stated a principle of your collectible in a game is only as good as much as I directly
want to put it in my mouth.
Put it in my mouth, yes.
Yes.
I feel like the Resident Evil 5 time crystal looks far more delicious.
Yeah. It really does. And there is something cool about punching the time crystal.
Yeah, the time crystal that looks like it's frozen Monster Energy drink. So of course I want to put that in my mouth.
They also randomize the position of those time crystals in this new version, which is just weird. There's a set number of enemies. There's only 150 for each stage. Which I really don't like. Yeah, because there's the perfect run. It's like, that's not cool in the same way. Yeah, and those are my main things. Like,
Yeah, I feel a lot of what you just expressed. For me, it's also, I think the co-op for Mercenaries mode is a really huge and awesome part of it. It is so fun to do a co-op run on Mercenaries mode. Well, I didn't expect that here. It still would have been really nice, and they need to do it next time because I'm tired of these lesser mercenary modes.
You're right. Like we're saying, make it a separate game.
Right. Yeah, if that's what it requires, I will line up to spend 60.
Yeah.
In a heartbeat. I'll be there day one. The only reason I didn't for the fucking 3DS one is because it was on the 3DS. It was like, hey, I can run a PS3 quality game. And I go, no, you can't. What do you mean?
15 is enough frames, right?
No. Not for this.
Weird.
I'm so excited for our next playthrough of Resident Evil 5 because we get to play it at 60 frames per second because of the power of the PS5. And
that will be great.
That's going to be neat. But Mercenaries mode, I haven't spent enough time with. But based on the time I have spent with it in Resident Evil 4 Remake, I feel like I'm going to feel the same as you. Also, I really think 6 was so unbelievably good, which is funny because that game is bad.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm so sick of people trying to revise history on Resident Evil 6. I'm like, yes, maybe it has good mechanics if you put it in like a combat gauntlet like Mercenaries mode. Those campaigns are awful.
Yeah, like at the end of the day, you can't sit there and be like the game's mechanics are the whole thing. Because in order to be that guy, you have to be Weird Takes McFighting game fan. And you don't get to talk about any other genre ever.
I've gotten into like this is also a group of people that have cropped up for Metal Gear Solid 5 where it's like it has the best mechanics in the series. Yeah, and all the areas are bad and I don't want to do any of the missions in them.
Yeah, and that's also a problem with that.
It doesn't yeah, they got to make the core mechanics, then Konami stepped in and put Kojima in jail and they didn't get to make the rest of the game.
Yeah, at least they have an excuse there, whereas the Capcom's like, what happened?
Spoilers for the end of the Mario Bros. Force Feedback, if you haven't seen it yet. Not full spoilers, but I spent a lot of the
Also, go watch it.
Yes, please go watch it. This stuff took thousands of dollars of equipment and a lot more time than a podcast takes to make. Very important that you watch that and give it a like and a comment. Thank you. Because of the ending, I spent a lot of the last week thinking about, and by week I mean 3 days at most, thinking about Metal Gear Solid 4 again and watching YouTube videos that run the game at 60 frames per second via an emulator and all sorts of other stuff. And I'm like, that game has so many problems, but it's so infinitely more worthwhile than 5. I can spend a day straight talking about all these things that bug me in 4. But at the end of the day, I can't even do that for 5 because it's that just meaningless almost.
Yeah, it's super thin. Almost nothing happens.
Metal Gear Solid 5 is the only numbered Metal Gear Solid I haven't beaten.
The most important stuff is cut content on the DVD that was released alongside it. Yeah, that tells you everything you know.
It's so weird. I had somebody say like, I've never heard that not Final Fantasy, even though Final Fantasy 15 also half a game.
Or less.
I've never heard that Metal Gear Solid 5 was unfinished. I'm like, you never got to the part where it's like, to beat the game, play these old missions again, but harder. This was really obviously something that was going to be like a bonus mode. We had to stick what we had at the end here to pad out it even a little.
Yeah, it's super obviously missing an entire act in the accompanying Blu-ray or DVD or whatever it is that actually hard confirms that as you see the stuff in it.
Yep.
It's really tragic. So anyway, MGS4 Chad stay winning over MGS5 losers.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking like, would I ever even want to boot Metal Gear Solid 5 again? And it's like, no.
I'm going to have to beat that game someday in order to talk about 4 in a more informed manner, which I will have to do someday, but elsewise, no. So we're hoping for a whole $60 game that is Mercenaries mode.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're hoping for more levels via DLC.
Right. We know
could
that
even be free to play.
I mean,
like, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, free to play would be ideal. But I mean, Exoprimal exists as them showing off they don't want to do that, I feel.
At the same time, if it's free to play, they may design it in a way where if the servers ever cut off, it'll never work again.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I will always be okay with Capcom making a multiplayer focused game that is $60 because they seem to stay online. As far as I've noticed, they seem to. I mean, we did Resident Evil 6 multiplayer not even that long ago.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things. Meanwhile, I can't, like, big thing to mention has always become like a memoriam segment internally for free-to-play games going down.
We're this year, the past year specifically, has felt like we've crossed like the threshold, and we are now firmly in the this trend's over. Everything that can survive is already here.
And those that could have survived later down the road are already dead. They launched too early, baby.
Yeah, I saw there was a dude's arcade intro this week that was like, oh yeah, the server is shutting down for this game, but it was only the Switch. So I was like, I'll wait for the whole thing to
Oh, you're talking about I know what you're talking about. God,
Rogue Company. It's just called Rogue Company.
Rogue Company.
Yes.
Which keeps confusing my brain. Like, this isn't some Tom Clancy game. You just have the most generic name for anything in human history.
Yeah, my brain does two stops. The first one's there. The second one, no, that's a bad Contra game we're not supposed to play. The new one.
Yes, Rogue Core.
What? Rogue Core?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that called? My brain goes, why isn't it Tom Clancy? Why isn't that bad Contra game? Is it Star Wars?
Oh, and so that way I can not end up on the other end of this big thing going, why didn't I say anything about it? For anyone who's curious, I'm wearing my E3 shirt, you know.
Oh, God.
because I started, you know, Tears of the Kingdom trailer and stuff like that got me going, oh, it's feeling a little E3 in the air. I should wear my E3 shirt today.
Let's just go ahead.
Yeah, let's lean into it. We're getting ready. I got the monster inside me, excited for the summer of gaming.
That's good.
Maybe.
When do you think Ada and Wesker come out? It's really upsetting they're not in this yet.
Oh yeah, I don't know. Probably on the far end of that like Ada extra campaign.
Oh, you think it won't be
I
after
assume
that?
that's when it.
Yeah.
Huh.
I assume it'll be at the same time.
Right.
Yeah,
it's either at the same time or slightly after.
Yeah, I figure it'd be like it'd show up in mercenaries and then the
Really?
story would come out because it'd be less work.
You got to do your big updates, like say when a company releases a bad video card and then releases the RTX remakes thing at the same time, so that way they have everything's great. Don't think about value propositions. We'll see you at the news segment.
So here's a goofy thing that I just thought of. Original RE4 had assignment Ada, which was there's no story. You're playing as Ada, run, grab these 5 things, and get to the helicopter to escape thing. Then the PS2 release had Separate Ways.
Yes.
Which was like the actual Ada campaign. What if they have assignment Ada, but you're Wesker?
Ooh. Getting to the place you went as
little Wesker mode
in a real regular game would be hilarious.
This is ridiculous. I told them I only had 5 minutes. This campaign's 3 hours long.
Oh no, him having 5-minute levels would be really funny too.
Then he does a victory dance at the end like it's a fucking Ape Escape crossover with Metal Gear.
Yes.
Wesker's like, yeah, I did it.
I need this shirt, but I need it to just remove all the text and just say, I beat my wife. I don't know. If I ever see someone wearing a shirt this edgy, that's all I fucking read. So save me the translation later.
Dan's new shirt bringing up a lot of questions already answered by the shirt.
Right? Is this a hard drive article? So, Dan, read the shirt. We open an FAQ and it's just a picture of the shirt. I wore this shirt accidentally, like on a day where I went out to go do some fucking chores before I took a shower. So my hair is fucking crazy because I have wicked crazy bed hair. It looks like anime shit. So I'm wearing this and look like that, and I'm like, oh god, someone saw me, and they might actually think I do beat my wife. Sweet God, what have I done? Damn it.
See, I do not think the Vegeta shirt is I beat my wife. But there's a genre of that sort of shirt that has Attack on Titan characters, and those guys absolutely beat their wife.
I feel like they're both the same call out, but
Vegeta is a much different character than Eren Yeager.
Yes. But here's the thing about Vegeta fans. They buy the image of Vegeta. Vegeta wants them to believe in. That's true.
Yeah,
that is reality.
Right. There's a clear distinction between Vegeta and what fans think Vegeta is.
Right. Vegeta in his brain is just like, what a Chad fucking royal heir to an amazing warrior race. And Vegeta in reality is like, they foreclosed on his house because he spent all of his money on online gambling.
He must evict him.
Anyway, see, I'm really glad that Vegeta's such a wife guy because the divorced Vegeta arc would be the most dire arc for any character in fiction.
Please, Dragon Ball Super 2 explore this.
Oh my God.
That would have to be in Xenoverse 3 where they explore all the alternate histories.
Oh God, he's the saddest character in all of fiction.
You go to divorced Vegeta's house in the alternate timeline and he just has like a wall of cosplay swords that he got from the mall.
You want some Goku? I'm making some extra. No, Vegeta, it's cool. You can keep all that hash to yourself. That's a very cool dish you're making by heating up that canned meat and just eating it straight.
No, Vegeta, I don't need any of your hamburger helper. It's fine.
Actually, it's tuna helper.
Oh, you're changing things up. That's cool.
Jesus.
Anyway, what the fuck were we talking? Is everyone done talking about Mercenaries Mode?
I think we're
okay. I have MGS talk up here the whole time. We're just talking about Vegeta being divorced.
I'm gonna spend the rest of my life thinking about Vegeta collecting mall swords.
Oh man.
Vegeta, why do you have so many tubs of G Fuel?
This feels like the most real version of Vegeta we've ever gotten.
We gotta move on.
Okay, I also played Ghostwire Tokyo.
So did Chris.
Oh, I played that for an hour.
And then you were so full that you stopped. Right?
I basically just played the first hour because it came out on Xbox and I didn't have to buy it.
Right.
It came out on Game Pass. So I played it and went, oh, this game's not for me. And then uninstalled it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's totally fair.
And that's after the upgrades.
This sure does feel like a game that lost its creative director halfway through development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it never shakes that.
I would have gotten it on PC, but it actually had shader compilation stutter. That was the only thing that kept me from buying that game last year. Because I saw how it controlled on a controller. There was no way I was going to play it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Listen here, Bethesda, you better not ship any games with bad control feel and not a high enough frame rate to correct that. They're like, okay, Dan.
Nothing will come up in news about this.
Nothing.
They added a new whole mode to this called the Spider Thread mode or something like that. It's this weird combat focused mode where it's a roguelike where they've designed or custom designed a bunch of areas to go through. So the areas themselves are not auto generated, but the order you go to them is. And so it's combat heavy. It's exploring these like tiny little sections of city they made where you either need to kill all the enemies in it or just get to the end of it. That game does not feel good enough for a mode like this, which I think is pretty obvious.
Yeah, I feel like I wasn't interested in it because of the game feel combat.
Yeah, no, when it's like you made this mode as if you were making something for Doom Eternal, but you did not make that.
Real quick note, patch note, just pretend this was playing the whole time during the Vegeta talk. We were just doing like...
Oh my god.
Anyway, so
They did add new stuff to this to try and make it control better and be cooler. So now you have a dodge, which you didn't have before at all, which is weird in the game that's heavily combat focused.
Even the enemies have like a dodge.
Yeah.
Why don't?
Yeah, even the enemies can like dash around and stuff. So
And stumble
yeah.
aggressively.
So your dodge is weird because they made it L3, which is the run button. So you can't dodge forward. You can only dodge side to side and back, which often led to me being like, I'll turn to the right and then dodge that way.
Modern game controllers just don't have enough buttons. That's what
Yeah,
I'm hearing from ZeniMax.
They just can't figure it out. I don't know why. It's too complicated. They also added a perfect guard and then parry, which the perfect guard was already there. Then you got a counterattack now, which it feels like that should have just been in the game. Like, in what world do you make a perfect guard and not have any follow-up attack? It's like your game's not done. I'm sorry.
Right, yeah. I've actually played a game that did exactly that. And I'm like, okay, but it takes so long to perfect guard, and you didn't build a bespoke counterattack off of it,
right?
That it wasn't worth it.
Yeah. So now that's there.
Cool.
They added a new attack for each of your spell types because there's 3 spell types: wind, fire, and water. And now you can charge them up and then hit R3 to do like a super version of the move. So the wind turns into literally him doing like a spirit gun, like rapid fire, which is really cool.
That's cool.
And then the fire one, he like shoots out fire from his palm.
He uses the hand of pyro.
Yeah, he uses the hand of pyro and it lights dudes on fire, which it adds stat effects for that, which they didn't even have stat effects at all before. Like, you couldn't set stuff on fire, you couldn't freeze stuff. But now you can do both of those things.
The fuck was this game last year?
Right, this game obviously wasn't done.
Not done.
Man, Sony signed some timed exclusivity with some games that felt like they weren't going to be done in time and then still weren't later. Forspoken.
Yeah. I feel like almost every like Sony thing they signed recently has been kind of bad.
It feels the one emotion I had watching the Final Fantasy 16 trailer was, wow, we finally get one of these cool Sony timed exclusive things that really lands.
Right.
The next
although in
closest
Sony's
Deathloop.
Yeah, like in Sony's defense, Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo are just pretty much the same games those studios always put out.
Yeah, those studios just don't put out quality stuff.
I feel like Deathloop landed for a lot more people
usually.
than Ghostwire. Yeah, it does. It does. But yeah, I feel like Deathloop landed better than Forspoken and Ghostwire.
Probably.
Yeah. Critically, at bare minimum.
Critically, at least. I have
At
no
bare
idea.
minimum.
It might have sold
Critically, at
worse than
least.
either somehow.
Yeah, I think somehow I don't even think Deathloop did as good as either Dishonored. Like, it did not.
Right.
These immersive sim is just not like a thing the mass market really likes.
Also, I don't think that game is immersive sim enough to qualify to be that as its core genre.
And the trailers were literally the worst things they could have made. Like, every time. Like,
Yeah, well, when taken at large.
Yeah.
An individual trailer of it might have been fine. Not the first one, but if you picked like the fourth one, it might have been like, okay, that gives me the idea of what it is. It's got the 70s aesthetic. It's communicating a lot of this to me.
Right.
Meanwhile, you do all those, and everyone on planet Earth was like, we get it.
But yeah,
I feel like people also just get like fatigue if they're always seeing your game.
Yeah, which is why
Which probably didn't help.
I love the new era of marketing. We haven't seen Spider-Man 2.
Right.
That shit comes out in 5 months.
Good Lord.
Right? That feels awesome.
We've seen so little of it that people are able to lie and just say insane shit like it's actually about the multiverse. And that gets any traction at all.
I have to want, because I remember John Lennon was like, I hope they work the multiverse into that. I think he said this in 2022. I don't remember, but I was just like, why?
Right?
We have so much multiverse fiction.
The only thing I would want is Spider-Gwen just in there without reason. Like, she doesn't need to be from the multiverse at all. She could just be another character like Miles.
No.
Look, guys, I need Madam Web in 3D and modern resolutions, and I don't plan to be questioned about that.
Oh, okay. I was like, would you like to explain why? Aggro?
Well, Aggro, you can just wait for the Madam Web movie that's coming out next year.
Aggro has his own shirt that answers the questions.
I can't tell if Chris is kidding, and I hate that I can't.
No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
Oh
There's
my
supposed to be
God.
a Kraven the Hunter movie this year. And next year we're supposed to get a El Muerte movie, a character from 3 issues of a comic, and a Madam Web movie.
Stop.
They're so desperate.
This is all Sony, I assume.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Sony.
How the
I
heck do
said
they
this
have
before,
Madam
but
Web?
like
Because Madam Web's also Spider-Man.
Sony.
But you'd think she'd be close enough to regular Spider-Man for them not to be able to do it.
No, Sony is exploring literally all of it because they're never going to give up the rights to doing Spider-Man movies, Bob. And Marvel's just going to be pissed the whole time and sign these deals where they both have a happy medium and Sony makes a bunch of shitty movies on the side. Jesus.
Venom 1 and 2 are legitimately good superhero movies. Stop making me sound stupid by greenlighting shit like a Hemogoblin movie.
Okay. I've recovered. So, Bob, when I played Ghostwire last year for a little bit, I was not thrilled.
Yeah.
Do you think the updates are enough?
No.
Okay.
They're kind of neat. I played that mode for a little while, but I kept just dying and not feeling like I had a fair shot from it. Like, it didn't feel fair in the way I died a lot of times. Like, oh, the poison floor killed me in 3 hits. Cool. Back to the beginning of this roguelike mode.
Neat.
They add one other new thing into the main campaign, which is this mode where you go around with, you find haunted pictures. So then you have to find that location in the open world.
It's the infamous mini game that they do in the missions where it's like, oh, this picture could be from anywhere. Go find it.
And they also do it in Astral Chain.
They don't give you a search zone though, like those games do.
Yeah,
because it's Tokyo.
so it's the entire.
Yeah, it's just the entire. So the first one is like, find the Shibuya 109 building. Something a lot of people know what it is.
Yeah,
That's the first picture.
Yeah.
I do that one. They immediately give me 3 pictures that I have no idea. It's like
here's a dumpster. Find it.
It's the stuff that's landmarks that probably someone who actually lives in Tokyo would understand. But I don't. So this isn't for me.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is for weebs who live in Japan.
Right?
Thank you. This is for Chris Broad. Chris Broad is not a weeb.
No.
In fact, if he was, it would ruin his channel. That's really funny.
Yeah, it's like immediately just, please give me a circle to search it, because oh wow, this is impossible.
Worth noting, as much as I sounded condescending, which it wasn't supposed to, it was just supposed to sound very funny. I actually really like those mini games in Infamous. I really like having to figure out the exact angle and where it is and etc. It's neat.
Yeah, it's a neat thing to do in open
There
world.
are a lot of cool mobility powers in Infamous that are notably missing in. I almost called it Deathloop. Ghostwire Tokyo.
What are you talking about?
Ghostwire Tokyo has walking slowly.
You also get the air glide that looks like Infamous vampire DLC.
Okay, well, there's something. I assume Ghost Wireman can turn into neon and run straight up a building, right?
No.
I assume he can turn into smoke and then shoot up out of a smoke stick.
He can kind of climb up some stuff.
Cole's doing insane shit. Delson's doing insane shit. He's trying to get on top of a garbage can unsuccessfully. The vertical movement is so rough that they put tengus around the city that you can grapple to. And that's the only excuse for why you can get up some places. All right.
It's like, but your whole thing, you just have the wire that you shoot out and kill enemies with. Like, but you can't use that to reverse, not unless a tengu's flying around.
This is terrible. How much longer do I have to listen to you make me sad
I'm
about?
done.
Okay. Man, sure glad that Makavi's gone out of that company. He's free now.
He is free now.
He's free now.
I do wonder, like, how long before Microsoft just cuts the throats of Arcane and
Tango.
Tango
Tango, because as far as I know, none of their games have ever done good. on either side, but somehow they keep getting to make them, and I don't know if Microsoft will just be like, we're not gonna do that.
Well, let's hear this issue out during a certain segment later. That might be the center part of the thumbnail this week. Bob, did you play anything else?
No, that was it.
I played Diddy Kong Racing and thought about, man, it's weird that we didn't get any other kart racers that had the weird open world, like 3D platformer collectathon vibes like it does, and games like Mario or Banjo do. I thought that was weird, and then I remembered Crash Team Racing existed, and I went, yeah, but it's Crash Team Racing. I can't, include that in the conversation, or Eric will be happy. So then I went back to pretending that Diddy Kong Racing is the only one of those that did that.
Yeah, everyone knows that Crash Team Racing just sucks so bad that you can't even compare it to any other great kart racer.
That's what they all know.
Yep.
In a world
we're in the violent part of this podcast.
In a world where Mario Kart on Super Nintendo and Game Boy Advance exists, we're going to say Crash Team Racing. Damn, son.
Yeah, I'm
what
sorry.
about Konami YY Racers?
That's probably great. I've never played it.
What about that Mega Man one?
That Mega Man one actually is fucking goated with the sauce, let me tell you. I was shocked to find that out. I always assumed, I was sad growing up. I was like, oh, I wish I got to play that. Oh, well, it probably sucked anyways. Oh, no, this is great. Fuck. Anyway, that's going to do it for our what we've been playing. Hey, Chris, aside from Ghostwire, what you been playing?
I played Tomb Raider, the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
And it was actually pretty great.
Right? It's weird.
Yeah, I also enjoyed it when it came out. Just, only
story's real bad.
Yes.
Story's real bad. They sure moment one, frame one, just slam Laura into a wall as hard as they can, and she's fucking... Every cutscene in Tomb Raider, the Tomb Raider, is like that episode of The Simpsons where the French waiter, brutalizes himself in the kitchen. That's every single cutscene.
As I said, I was like, all this would have happened if she went to Taco Bell somehow. She would have got impaled at a fucking bar, and then we started talking about a bog witch cursed her.
Yeah, this game is 9 hours long. I think there's 12 run as things explode and fall out from under you set pieces.
I wonder where the money went.
Yeah, is it Chris? You said it was supposed to be 150 mil or something insane.
No, it is only 100 million.
Okay.
Only.
Oh, is that
That's all?
And then people kept pointing out Uncharted 4 was 25 or some ridiculously low number.
Uncharted 4 was 40 million. Uncharted 2 was 20 million. It's cost 5 times as much as Uncharted 2.
Oh.
But it controls fine, and everything about it seems fine from a gameplay level. It ran at 60 because I played the PS4 version. The Xbox One version doesn't run at 60. It runs at 30.
What?
Oh,
was it definitive edition release?
Maybe they were listening to Digital Foundry and they frame capped it at 30.
Oh my god!
I mean, the Xbox One is a potato, and apparently the PS4 version couldn't even hold 60. Apparently it would used to dip down to the low 50s. So maybe they were just well, it dips down to 40 on Xbox, so just lock it at 30.
I mean, they're actually, this may sound insane to anyone who doesn't know, but there actually is a direct line that entire 8th generation between a game comes out with a better than 30 but unstable frame rate, and Digital Foundry keeps saying they need to cap it, and then they do.
Yeah, such a strategy when they do it.
Yeah. I think they do really important work at Digital Foundry. I've been a patron forever, but I think the long-term effects of them telling all those companies to frame cap at 30 that gen has been insane to watch as we went into the next generation. It's like, oh no. Because one of those was God of War 2018, but then they did the PS5 patch to uncap it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's still weird stuff. There's parts where you're climbing in that game and it's just at 30.
Weird.
Yeah, I actually noticed while watching you play that even her walking across rope bridges and stuff like that, you could see the stutter of she's moving at 30.
Huh.
Really weird. It was weird. I don't know if it was just something they couldn't get to work at 60. for this port.
Yeah, I assume some of the animations just recorded at 30.
Yeah.
But it launched on PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that anyone actually cares to put work into that.
Right, yeah. We're still in an era of PC gamers getting the short end of the stick.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's easy solution here, PC gamers. You want to be bitter about this? Here's how you solve it. All of you need to go buy a $700 video card and make sure enough of you did it to get 10 million sales. Just 10 million sales. Once you do that, you get to be treated like the other platforms. Until then, I'm sorry, all the quality of life improvements they're putting in the PC version of these games, that's just charity. They get to write that shit off on their taxes.
So, everybody's aware of the term ludonarrative dissonance, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a term that first came into existence mainly to talk about how can Nathan Drake quip and be so affable while killing men? This completely breaks my immersion.
Why is this morally bankrupt person likable? And I'm like,
Tomb Raider is maybe more deserves that label than any game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Where there's like the whole thing is the fucking tagline for this game was "A survivor is born." Because she survived all this trauma and killing all these guys. But it pops up with like epic headshot plus 30 experience. And this happens immediately. So there's the scene of where she kills somebody for the first time and like looks at her hands and cries and pukes. And then you're going around popping dudes in the head and it's like epic headshot, 30 experience.
Yeah, the cutscene's her crying and puking, and then the moment the cutscene ends, it's like, hold R2 to skin this baby's face off. It's the only way you can survive, Laura. Do it. And she's like, okay. Yeah.
The game has experience and levels that don't matter at all. And they probably should have just removed because they didn't have enough things for it.
Oh.
Because on their skill trees, there are 27 things you can get. And they gate you by like, okay, you can only get these things before you get 9 experience. And then these things before you get like 18. And what's funny is they seem to have like built it into her animations where like she's becoming the survivor. She's becoming the Tomb Raider. So when you get to the second tier of things, you can now use your melee attack.
Oh, okay.
But okay, so like you have like there's 26 to 27. There's somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
Eight of them are just get more experience / get more salvage.
Ugh.
Like get more weapon parts. 2 of them are carry more ammo.
Okay.
And then 4 of them are just change the animation you do when you execute a stunned enemy.
Is it like faster each time?
Loss on them.
It's just because normally she just hits them in the face with a fucking rock. That's her default stunned enemy kill. If you have these upgrades, you use what the weapon you have equipped, and maybe they do more damage. I'm not sure because some enemies will shrug them off or like lose their head armor instead of dying. And maybe if you have those, it'll just be instant. It's real weird. It really feels like they didn't have enough things. And like a couple of them are like, you climb slightly faster. You take less damage when you fall, which barely matters. So it really feels like they just didn't have anything for these skill trees at all, but kept it in.
Yeah, it was the gen of everything needs a skill tree. Like
right.
That was Far Cry and all the other games did that heavily.
And as we're talking about, like she gets these abilities that she unlocks through the skill tree.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like to get away from the PS2 era, part of it became we need to give you a skill tree to do these things. We can't just give you a move at a certain point in the game. That feels weird.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So, everybody played Arkham Asylum, right?
Nope.
Okay, Bob played Arkham Asylum, right?
I did.
Aggro, did you play Arkham Asylum?
I never did.
So there's this thing. There's this thing you get in Arkham Asylum that allows Batman to tear down walls. It's like a hook shot that splits into 3. So you grab 3 different points on the wall, and Batman fucking yanks on it. And he's a huge dude. So you pull down unstable walls like that. In Tomb Raider, it's a rope you tie to your arrow, and you shoot that into a door, and Laura is able to pull this massive wooden doors off their fucking hinges.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, she does do that. That's really weird.
It's really goofy. And then later she gets like a literal Batman gadget that attached to her wrist and lets her pull harder because it has a motor attached to it that lets you pull bigger doors off their hinges. And I'm like, this feels weird. Was this supposed? I think at some point this game was supposed to be much, much bigger, which is probably why it cost $100 million to make.
It already, like, even at the size it is, it does have a lot of interconnectivity. Like, it feels like a world that's weirdly connected, almost Metroidvania style, which I always thought was the coolest part of it compared to Uncharted. Like, that was the one thing that made it feel different.
But yeah, it has a lot of mechanics that are cool, but also feel superfluous. Because you get these upgrades that don't really open new areas. They open like maybe one of those optional tombs, which there aren't even that many of those.
Yeah.
And a couple of them don't even have puzzles. One puzzle was shoot a couple things with the fire arrows. Okay.
The puzzle. It's like the baby version of the Zelda shrines. Which a lot of those are already simplistic.
Now, something I didn't know. The cinematics director for this game, Cory Barlog.
What?
The same guy too, not just someone with the same not just the same name.
No, it's him. Weird.
So if I play Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Rise of the Tomb Raider and Lara Croft isn't being constantly pushed through a wire screen, we're gonna have pretty good confirmation that was Cory Barlog.
Well, you know, he didn't write the game. He just made the cinematics, and the game was about that thing. It's not like he's the game director. He just helped bring that vision to the front by having gruesome God of War style sequences.
What's like the first thing that happens in the game after you get to the island is you're hanging in like a gore cave. You have to set yourself on fire to get out of the ropes. And as you're doing that, the floor falls out from under you, so you fall 30 feet onto rebar.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? I watch plenty of videos that are like that. Dan, you should admit to that. Like, what? We don't all do.
It's also funny that the antagonist is Brock's voice actor from God of War.
I thought he was going to say Brock Sampson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No,
it's not. I gotta go play this game right now.
It's Brock, and I'm like, did Cory Barlog meet you making this game, and that's why you're in God of War?
Probably.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be on him, and it could be like Dan saying, like literally the creative directors are just like, no, this needs to be more and more violent.
Right, and to some extent, he made God of War 2, which has plenty of gruesome moments. So he seems like a guy you seek out for this reason,
right? To
make these cutscenes.
There's a lot of really funny death animations. Like there's a part where you're sliding down a zip line. And you have to swap between zip lines. And if you don't, a big pointy tree branch spawns from nowhere for you to run into.
That one's the worst. Yeah. Because you just see you're like still twitching a bit after it.
Yeah.
The worst one is the rebar through the neck when you're in the water.
Oh, yeah. It might be confusing the two.
Yeah, that's the worst one in my opinion. Yeah, real dumb story. I hate some of Laura's friends. It does this thing I hate in every story where obviously supernatural things are happening and one character has to go, that's crazy. That's impossible. We can totally escape on this boat even though I watched a plane get struck, like 2 different planes get struck by lightning coming in. From clear day to storm. I'm sure we can escape on like this fucking pontoon boat. There's a character who's like the scumbag archaeologist who's really invested in being famous, who's like a nerdy soft boy guy who's obviously evil, and he just reminded me of the teacher from Life is Strange. So I'm wondering if there was something about that era where we had to make that guy the villain of everything.
I could float some theories, but I'm fine.
I do recommend you go play this. I think it's on sale on the Sony sale. I think you can get all 3 for $20, which is what I did.
Oh, that's cool.
So I actually do recommend this game. Just know that the story's real bad.
You know, I really think it would be important to pregame playing this game with playing the original Tomb Raiders. And then the first 3 Uncharted. And then this game.
It would be really interesting. Because I've never played those original Tomb Raiders more than like an hour each, most.
Yeah. I think almost all my times in the demo for 1 or 2. I didn't play any PS2 Tomb Raiders.
Yeah, I also haven't.
Yeah.
Just a couple things before I stop talking about this game, because I don't have that much more to say about this, and I don't want to just spoil the entire story because people might play it as part of some sort of Tomb Raider month. So you pick up notes, and then when you read them, they're audio logs in the character's voice. This happens in one cutscene where Laura finds a note from a World War II Japanese soldier. So it just comes off like she's doing a racist voice in her head. It's real fucking weird because it's like a Lo Wang tier voice too.
It just sounds like fucking Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. Weird that he just said cowabunga.
Laura's supposed to be gay in this. It doesn't come across in the actual game at all. I guess they didn't let it actually be in the game. It's in the Dark Horse comics they did.
What? Really?
Yeah, I had no idea.
She's supposed to be she's apparently supposed to be dating Sam, the girl that you're supposed to rescue for most of the game, which makes sense because there really is this like Laura is like super wanting to save her.
Yeah, I noticed that watching your stream, but I didn't realize
they're just good buddies.
Yeah, apparently they
good buddies.
Apparently they go into it in the comics, so I wonder if they just like, no, it's only 2013, it's not enough. We can't do that yet.
Yeah, I have to wonder if the other games continue that, because it's been 10 years since this game came out, and I never once heard anyone talk about that element.
I don't even know if any of the characters from this game are in 2 or 3.
Bob, you actually played.
I played 2, and I'm not sure if any of them returned. I feel like one dude does, but I don't know if there's more than one.
That you don't know if there's a rise of the Tomb Raider's friends,
right? Not until the new game.
I legitimately don't remember any of the characters that survive, so.
Yeah, I feel like there's Hawaiian dude. Is that
Hawaiian dude's real cool. I like him.
Yeah, I think that he comes back, and I can't think of anyone else.
There's Black Lady, who I hate because she exists to be upset. That's her character. So she's the one who's like, there's no fucking supernatural shit, Laura. That's crazy, even though literally every other single character is saying there is. And I saw some of it. Most baffling thing in the game. You go back to the ship that wrecked to get something from the wreckage. There is a mini boss, and this game is really, really fucking good about, no, if you headshot somebody, they're dead with any weapon. It's really good about that. But there's just this 8-foot tall black dude who's like a brute type mini boss. He's the only one in the entire game that will just tank shots to the head over and over and over and over. And I'm like, why is this dude here? There's not a single other one of these.
Are you sure you weren't playing Resident Evil 5? Did they refer to this creature
he
as
didn't have a grass skirt.
Okay, there we yeah. That would
he
do
was just
it.
a mercenary.
Did he have a Gatling gun? That's gonna be confusing.
No, he did not.
Okay.
He
forgot
was
about
doing
the Gatling
like
guns,
boxer
dude.
moves.
They take an unbelievable amount of bullets in 5. They fucking rule. What a stupid fucking game.
And this game has bad grenades, which is unfortunate.
Always is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, did you
I played some other things.
Okay.
I finished the Minish Cap. That's a good game. I think the decision to make the last couple bosses in the game rely entirely around the charge up your sword for way too long and then make clones of yourself mechanic.
That sounds pretty cool, though.
It does, but you have to literally charge your sword like 15 seconds before you can make them.
Oof.
It's a long fucking time. And I guess they did it to make the final boss more harder, because you can get a lot of fucking hearts in this game. I had 16 when I beat it. And I think you can get up to 20. So I walked in with 4 red potions. So it's like, yeah, I have 80 hearts.
I feel like that's the typical amount of max Zelda hearts you can get, but maybe I'm
how many?
I think
20.
the I think the typical number is like 18. Before that, at least.
I thought it was 10 per row, but I do think one of the Zeldas was 9 per row. But I don't know. I don't really 100% Zelda games all that much. Past my childhood.
But yeah, that's a great Zelda game. I still don't think I like it as much as Link to the Past or Awakening. But that's like saying, oh, it's only a 9 instead of a 10.
Yeah, which I noticed in the comment section, a few comments, people took us like not saying Wind Waker's quite as good as like, oh, they hate Wind Waker. And I'm like, no, that's not at all what we fucking said.
No, waffles are good.
But please explain how pancakes are soy.
And I played one other thing. I played 30 seconds, and I mean 30 seconds, of Dead Island. Here was my journey through Dead Island. I installed it on my PS4. I booted it. I went, oh, this has Final Fantasy 0 tier motion blur, and you can't turn it off because it was an early 8th gen port. I'm done.
Yep. Yep. Exactly right.
Ghostwire Tokyo also has really egregious motion blur, but at least you can turn that off.
It's true.
Plus, the higher your frame rate, the less repugnant the motion blur is.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but like bad motion blur is unacceptable.
Yeah, it is. I even remember that being the case on the PS3. That gen was a great gen for people layering effects on their stuff that made it look terrible and run worse. Good job, everybody.
We did it.
Yeah, that's everything I played.
Hey, Dr. Aggro. What you been playing?
I'm like 70 hours into Octopath Traveler, and I swear there's a light at the end of this tunnel.
Jesus. I'm horrified to go back.
I told you. Spiff told me. He warned me. He was like, that was a great 70-hour RPG. And I'm like, holy shit.
I'd also like to mention, I play a lot of mobile games, and I don't really bring them up on the podcast because they're mobile games, and a lot of them are just time wasters. But I've been playing a series called Lost Lands by a company called 5BN. It's an adventure puzzle game. You move around the environment, you pick up items, like old Flash style adventure puzzle games. They've evolved into their own whole mobile genre. And this one's pretty cool. It's got a bunch of weird, like, oh, I'm a gnome and you need to find the 5 crystals to make a potion, to shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the middle of the second one, actually, because they're pretty good and I like playing them. And I'm in the middle of this game full of cool, intricate puzzles that weave in and out of each other, and suddenly I'm confronted by a 3x3 slider puzzle that is non-optional.
I was wondering what the hell that tweet had to do with. You retweeted something from May of last year that was yelling about that.
Because it happened again. I'm so goddamn tired of playing really cool puzzle adventure games, and suddenly there's a non-optional 3x3 slider puzzle drop down in the midst of it.
Okay, we need to have this talk. Bob?
Yeah.
Is that fair game?
No, that sucks.
Chris, is a slider puzzle that's 3x3 fair game?
No.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say it's perfectly fine. Everyone should just get better at slider puzzles. And I'm going to say this as a guy who sucks at them.
For evidence, look at the Wind Waker stream.
I'm fine at them. I just think they're so bad. Do anything else.
I have some questions having looked up images of this game, Aggro.
Uh-huh.
Would you say this game is a Shadowgate-like, a King's Quest-like, or a Myst-like?
No. I didn't play King's Quest.
Oh.
Or no, yeah, I did. I played the remakes.
Okay. You're like, I only played Peasant's Quest.
I mean, that's a good King's Quest.
It like the closest thing I can get it to really is those old Newgrounds, like Frank's Adventure, those old Flash adventure puzzle games where you're going around, like use knife to open bag to get piece of mosaic and like half the game is finding all the pieces you need to shove into the puzzle to then solve the puzzle.
Yeah, that's fucking King's Quest. I don't know.
That's not what the remakes were like.
Oh God! Wait, yeah, they did a really recent remake.
Yeah,
didn't
the ones that make it like
recent 2017.
Yeah. Ones with like Christopher Lloyd in it.
Yeah, I forgot all about that shit.
To this game's credit, you could pay with an in-game currency to skip this puzzle.
Then they win though.
and they did.
Neil.
You know,
now we know why the slider puzzles.
No, like the games they're free to download, and you can like they start you off with like 20 coins, and you can spend a coin to get a hint. Or like spend 10 coins to skip a puzzle. And I usually go through and like buy whatever the cheapest coin thing is because I really like the game and I want to spend a little money on it. And yeah, that's what I spend the in-game currency on, is skipping that fucking slider puzzle.
Yeah. Where they're like, this one takes 20 coins. Like it's more than a regular puzzle.
Like they fucking know.
That would be so funny. The economy's real rough right now. 30.
It's all about supply and demand, my man. No, that's called extortion.
Okay, Aggro, follow-up questions. Is it like Police Quest?
Is that anything like Police Knots?
What is it like SWAT 3 or 4?
Aren't those direct DVD movies?
Probably. I'm sorry about your slider puzzle experience. I didn't mean to make light of your suffering, and I apologize, sir.
The important thing is that we raise awareness about this very critical problem in game design.
We need a flag, a symbol, something to get behind.
I need a ribbon car magnet.
Yes. Yes. That would be so funny. That would be so fucking funny. Did you have any other games you wanted to talk about, sir?
No, Octopath Traveler is an endless road that consumes my life.
Then that means we're heading into the Podlords.
Oh, fuck.
Podlords. Podlords. Podlords.
Yes, that's right.
The Podlords? Where'd that button go?
I don't know, maybe.
Oh, fuck.
No,
The Podlords?
Fuck the Podlords! Yes, that's right. The Podlords. Podlords such as... I'm going to make sure this is set up correctly. Lee Broyles. Push versus Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire. BN12. Red Blaze 27. Suzushiro, Shiba Yagato, Rado, 101 Shades of Wonderful Remastered, WTF, Spider-Man, Adraco wondering when their motherboard will come back from the war, Mr. I like spam. You know what? I know it's bold. I'm going to say I also like spam, Bob.
Spam's good, yeah.
Okay.
Great.
My favorite part of the Super Mario Bros. Movie was when Mario said it's Mario time and then Mario'd all over those Koopas.
Basically happened.
Yeah. I'm too far off. Yeah, man.
They really did see it.
Yeah. Chin down, eyes up Mario is pretty good if you ask me.
I love how his mustache is like Mickey Mouse's ears. No matter what the angle is, it's always the same shape.
It's a billboard. Like in a 3D video game, it always faces the camera. DFW 3K, Muckbun, Shiny Mew, Kristen, Kyle Bjork. Me, whenever Jim Ryan so as much as breathes towards a beloved Sony IP.
Oh.
The only thing he breathed towards nowadays is Horizon, so I guess depending on your definition. Iron Aggro, Blig de Blue, Schligda's Poo, Monster Hunter Ryzen and Raiden. So happy to see my boys again.
Ugh.
Cooper Tank. So, I hear you're good with plans.
Oh my God.
Lord,
Stop.
God.
Stop.
Stop it. Get help.
God, I wish fucking Phil Spencer's plans made as much sense as anything Koga did.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Neko Norn Jan Cenobite. Indigo Sykes. Drive Typecast. Milo and Otis without all the animal abuse. Oh no! I'm sorry that joke in the Mario review is how you had to find out.
Yeah.
I thought everyone knew. I'm so sorry. Evil Lucario. A raccoon that has fallen down the Pooh's Adventure wiki hole. That is a mouse on a laptop with a raccoon on all of it.
No problems.
All right. Shinji16 and DPS Kun want to remind you that you matter, you are valid, and you deserve to be happy while gut-punching Republicans. The Supermim. The Hard M is too busy working night shift to come up with the latest atrocity. Open to considering suggestions. I don't know. I think Shingaria frowning is really good.
It's amazing. That's the exact expression I made when looking at that picture.
Yes. I enjoy the eyebrows being turned down too.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Bearded Joe. Pleochrome. Krunglespum. Lord Richter. What? Wait, one moment. What? Oh, I got thrown off. Oh, man. I also skipped Charlene. Timothy Pfister had advice for anyone thinking about painting a plastic model. For your own sake, just buy a fucking airbrush.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That seems like the good choice. Now it's Bearded Joe, Pleochrome, Grows Well, and Lord Richter officially never has to work another weekend. Praise be to the fall of the old boss.
Great.
And don't worry about it, Media Molecule. My dreams were shattered years ago. I laugh because the only other option is to cry. We know what happens if you airdrop Kenpachi into a battle, but have you asked what happens if you airdrop Groose into a battle?
He dies?
Right?
Gruesomely?
Did anyone do that Zelda edit to Black Adam?
I must have missed it if it did happen, because Zelda did the dive, and I was like, yo, it's like fucking Black Adam. If you have drawn that, or will draw that hearing this, please add me and post it in the GigaBoots fan art section of the Discord. Thank you. Oh, God. Okay. Chunk Norris.
Oh, no.
Huh.
Is this how he looks in Bombay Rock Crime City or whatever? The Hunk Experience and RE4 Mercenaries, and slightly above average. Thank you very much to our pod lords.
Thank Pod Lords.
Thank you, pod lords!
Thank you, Pod Lords.
Thank you, Podlord. If you'd like to become a Podlord, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/gbpodcasts. For as little as $5 a month, you get access to many benefits such as early access to Chugging Bleach and Pokemon Go to the Movies, our 2 anime review podcasts. You also get extended content from other shows we do when indeed such things exist for you to be given, and a patron-exclusive show 1 a month where you get to vote on what good or bad thing we have to watch and then talk about. And if it's a bad thing, you also get a commentary track for that bad thing, and there is somewhere in the ballpark of 70 of those for you, for a lot of movies that you should never ever watch. You also get a movie, Isolation 119, a fantastic film about a man who is supposed to be investigating his brother's not death, but instead drinks a bunch of beers in a chair. That is patreon.com/gbpodcasts.
I really am coming up on a rewatch of that. You know, a couple of years from now, we'll actually be at the 10th anniversary of that film. because it came out in 2015. And part of me is like, I need to talk to the director, see what we could get going. Thank you, Pablo. I'm going to throw one more in. We got news. It's gamer news.
Ooh, yes, that's what I like.
Ooh. You like gaming news?
Absolutely.
You hear that, algorithm? He likes gaming news.
I like gaming news.
Show this man our podcast that he is in right now, thus trapping Bob infinitely in the Ray Star Wars Infinite Mirror dimension. Hey guys, I'm gonna start with things. Oh man, all of my news is bad except for one, which is underwhelming. Cyberpunk 2077 came out with an overdrive ray tracing mode. For people who don't know, this is completely unlike any video game ever done before because it has fully path trace lighting. What that means is per pixel, it does multiple traces of each pixel of light. So say, you're looking at this image. In order to get the color of this mic, we have to trace the light to it and then trace it around the room to see what all light hits it and then trace it again, multiple bounces. This entire wall next to Chris is only being lit by bounced light off of the LED light. Now, it does this for every pixel. It's like the highest form of ray tracing. So it won't
doesn't have
surprise you.
that big a performance check, does it, Dan?
So it might surprise you when I say on my 4090...
Six times as powerful as the PS5 for the record.
Oh, you mean that weak little baby thing?
Some context.
It runs at 18 frames a second at 4K. You have to use DLSS2 to make it playable in the least, and playable in the least means 40-ish. Which means to make it smooth, you have to use frame generation, which is DLSS3 technology, which is virtually identical to a TV smoothing option. So it looks absolutely terrible. Tons of image artifacts all over the screen and added latency. What's the problem? What's the problem?
Soap opera mode is such a dated reference. The Zoomers don't get that. Guys, they have to put the game through 60 frames a second anime interpolation.
Yes. Yeah. No, that is how modern people would know it. They turned Cyberpunk into a 60 frames per second anime, and it has all of the face melting look that you expect from that.
Look, Dan, phrases like looks terrible are negatively loaded, and I don't think that's a fair way to describe what's happening. When your game is running at 40 frames a second because you turned on bullshit TV mode, the term you use is cinematic. The game now looks much more cinematic. And like it's carved out of wax.
Dan showed me some screenshots
it's
between
true.
normal, less intensive ray tracing and this bullshit.
Yes. Specifically for people who've played Cyberpunk, it's the Overdrive RT mode that just came out. The Psycho RT setting, which is the highest ray trace setting, it's higher than the consoles, but it seems sane performance-wise in comparison to the Overdrive ray trace. And then normal maxed out non-ray trace graphics. Okay, Chris, go ahead.
I could tell it was different, but it didn't look better. And I couldn't tell which one was ray tracing. I could tell this one looks different in a way I think ray tracing might cause. It has very sharp shadows. But that's it.
So if I were to point out the background here to give a good example of exactly what was different in those images I showed Chris, it should be the way you would know that it has fully path trace ray tracing. See this little alcove of this bookshelf right behind me? This dark area right here. That would be a little brighter on Psycho RT. Because there would be light leak. And you would look at this image and it would look identical, except for that.
I think it's so funny they made a vote above Psycho, which is obviously named in a way that was like, no, this is the best. This is the most intense.
Yes. Now, the funniest thing about this option is that every tech YouTuber's coverage kept calling it a technical preview. It's not a normal game mode. It's a technical preview. It's a technology preview. Okay? I didn't realize when you boot the game, it literally calls it that. I'm like, oh, is that why they all stress that this is not a normal mode that you should play in?
The technology preview for the engine they will never use again for anything. God.
Well, it's a technology preview of the future where all games will be fully path traced. A future that is definitely quickly approaching and not 8 years plus out.
Cool.
Because a 4090 can barely run it.
Yeah.
which means the next gen consoles probably can't run it.
Right.
At least in as much as it's as intense and difficult as it is in Cyberpunk.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fully path traced, not just ray tracing. Also, it caused a lot more crashes with the game.
What's that matter?
I mean, it's Cyberpunk. It needs to crash. So, you know, I need to give it a break. Simultaneous to this coming out, almost like it was orchestrated, the RTX 4070 came out. Now, for people who might be confused, because this has been the worst launch of a family of video cards ever. If you recall, there was a 4080. There were two 4080s, and one of them had less RAM, and they implied that was the only difference, and it was like $100 or $200 cheaper. And then you look at it, and it's like, oh, this is a way worse GPU that you've called a 4080. Why did you call it a 4080 and pretend RAM's the only difference? They rebranded that to the 4070 Ti, which came out already. So we got the Ti version of a video card before the normal version. The 4070 normal version just launched. NVIDIA's marketing is leaning heavily on this 60 frames per second anime mode because, simply put, this performance is not generationally better in a way that makes it feel good. You get around the same performance, sometimes better, sometimes worse, as the 3080, which came out 2.5 years ago and only cost $100 more then. That's not what progress feels like.
Mm-hmm.
If you got a pro version of the PS5 3 years in, 3.5 years in, let's go to the PS4 Pro as an example.
Sure.
You don't pay $100 more and get roughly the same performance. You get pretty damn radically better performance in a number of ways, whether that's resolution, you know, your HDR, frame rate, etc. So the fact that 2.5 years later, you're only saving $100 and in some cases you're running worse. That's not what technology progress looks like.
And that's like compared to the 3070.
The 3080.
The 3080, okay.
Because keep in mind, they named these things to fuck with your brain.
Yes.
Because what they did is they took the same names. The 4070 cost more than the 3070 did.
Right.
So they're just using the names to trick you. That's why the conversation isn't about that.
But
what's up?
NVIDIA wouldn't try and trick us, would they?
No, they definitely didn't put out a chart recently that tricked somebody into retweeting it and talking about how this proves everyone wants ray tracing, and then somebody pointed out, no, that triggers if they turned it on ever. Even once. Not that they use it regularly, that they turned it on ever. Which,
who's buying a 4080 card and not ever trying ray tracing? Like, why else are you buying that other than turn it on once and turn it back off immediately?
I'm not a huge proponent of ray tracing, and I have a 4090.
Like, I always look at the ray tracing mode in games,
right?
I never leave it on.
I think the only time I've left on ray tracing in games outside of my 4090, which that's its own exploration mentally, were the Insomniac games where they could do the 1080p high frame rate ray trace modes.
Right.
Which I was fine with. If you go and listen to the Ratchet and Clank one, I was the guy who was playing that in the high frame rate, low resolution ray trace mode.
I was going to say, didn't you do Forspoken like that? And then I realized, no, you just played it in a high res mode. Because literally ray tracing did nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kept looking across the room and I'm like, Bob, when did you change it to resolution mode? And you're like, I did it. And I'm like, well, if it's going to run like shit anyways. Fuck it. Who cares? But yeah, the 4070, this isn't the value proposition it should be. NVIDIA is taking advantage of a market leadership position compared to other video cards you could buy at the same price. They are losing out performance in these video cards. Some of them, you know, like the 3080, aren't exactly new. In their marketing materials, they're leaning on this 60 frames per second anime mode to make the bar really huge. They're like, look, it runs 2.7 times as good as the last generation GPU at this tier that costs way less. But look, it's so much better performance if half the frames are literally faked guessed frames. And like, this is the point where, like, I've shown you Spider-Man on PC running with that shit turned on.
Yeah.
I've shown you like Cyberpunk and other things.
It's just brutally obvious, especially in third-person games.
Yes, in third person, it looks really
Yeah, it's like a joke that it's even in those games because, like, yeah, Spider-Man should just have extra arms, right? That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, it just looks bad and weird and wrong in a way that, you know, as this gets into the hands of more and more people, I expect we're going to see more and more people go, yeah, this looks terrible. Because right now, the only people who have it are people who own 4080s, 4090s, and 4070 Ti's. Reminder.
Are people who have tech brain, which is my new term for this. This is shitty, but it's the future, so I have to pretend it's good.
Right, exactly.
Or else the future won't. Tomorrow, the sun will freeze in the sky if I don't pretend these fake frames are great. We'll never progress.
Yeah, I've been really disappointed by a lot of the tech reviews I've been seeing coming out using that mode because they're like, well, it's the future. And I'm like, it looks like shit. If I had a mode on my video card to make it look like it was dying and have the triangles shoot out of my characters into infinity, but it improved the frame rate, you would not be sitting here being like, well, that's the future, killing your video card. You wouldn't be doing that, but you're doing it for this because NVIDIA's marketing is very successful and AMD has to compete at a feature level. It looks absolutely terrible, and I've been really disappointed by every reviewer who's like, we're just going to compare these other video cards without faked frames to these video cards that can fake every other frame. But yeah, this is going to be the cheapest video card with this technology built in. $600, still more expensive than these consoles. Wow. And while its performance is good, it still is insane that that is the only people who've got to even see this.
It had better be for $600.
Right.
That is a lot.
And it's still not good enough, which is the core argument I'm trying to make in this segment. It shouldn't. The 3080 was like $700. It was like $100 more 2.5 years ago. We should not be trying to compete with that.
Yeah, that's ludicrous.
Like, you know, NVIDIA slipping on a value proposition when AMD is keeping parity in some of these games with their video card at around the same price or slightly cheaper. That shouldn't be the case. They have a tech lead over AMD.
Right.
But they're just, these cards have been more and more expensive ever since the 2000 series when they added the Tensor cores. And so the performance, especially in non-ray trace games, is just not good enough for how much they're charging nowadays. There is a reason I went with the 4090, and it's not because I hate my wallet. It is because we needed a certain level of performance for doing these 6K 3-cam videos, and it's just my only option. What's up?
I just laughing. Yes, there's a reason. Read the shirt.
May I direct you to the FAQ? That is just a picture of my shirt that says "I beat my wife." That's why I own a 4090, and it's the future. Anyway, I'm done talking about the 4070. I really wish NVIDIA was pushing value more. It is so absurd and sucks. Thank God I'm also done. What's up?
As a lay person, like I buy video cards like every 7 years, maybe. And like I don't foresee myself buying a new video card until Elder Scrolls 6 comes out. Is the problem now Moore's Law is dead, but NVIDIA still needs to release video cards at the exact same rate or they collapse as a company?
That is part of it. At the beginning of this generation, I predicted they were going to use the frame generation to cheese charts to trick people into buying video cards that weren't that much better. And every tech reviewer's like, well, no, or let me rephrase this. The people who are tech reviewers who are very generous to NVIDIA said, no, it's so that way for 240 hertz monitors, you could take your games that run at 100 frames per second and double that to 200 so it looks better on the monitor. And I'm like, no, this is just to trick people into buying video cards that aren't that much better. So yes, that's what we're seeing play out. These video cards aren't radically better. They're not competing with other options on the market. They're just trying to sell more video cards. So if you're listening to this and you're like, well, Dan, I'm confused. When should I buy a video card? The answer is not right now, and here's why. NVIDIA's feeling it. Video card shipments are at the lowest they've been in over a decade or something.
Crypto is approaching being dead, but they don't want to go. They don't want to charge normal prices for their shit anymore. Because if you don't know, GPU prices are massively inflated right now because they were by crypto demand, but now that's gone. But NVIDIA doesn't want to go back to their normal margins.
No.
That's line go down. Line must go up.
Right. When the price goes up, it's market forces. The price should never go down, though. That's a nightmare.
When there's plenty of labor, I shouldn't have to pay you because there's so many people to replace you. But when the labor market is strong, it's unfair and coercion to expect me to pay enough to actually get employees.
Yep. Exactly.
That's why
right.
I'm hiring a 12-year-old.
And in most of those states, you can marry him too.
Wow. So, wait. NVIDIA will be crying by the 5000 series, whether that's 2 years out or less, because they rushed it out to pretend that they figured out some way to get good performance and not have really high cost. They are not feeling great right now. So if you just hold out for a few more years.
Buy whatever series of NVIDIA cards comes out after their CEO quits and vanishes from human society.
I have to wonder. I think he's a founder, so I don't think he is going to disappear. I think this is a Bobby Kotick situation. By the way, parallel to this crypto thing, they were also expecting every car on the planet to use their GPU. They seem to still want that. Now they're selling it for machine learning stuff.
All right.
Yeah. But no, definitely these tensor cores are an important and natural part of your GPU for gaming.
Yeah, after all, every single game has ray tracing, right? It's like 20. Oh no.
It's only Bob. It's only been 8 years. It's only been 8 years since the ray tracing cards hit the market. It's still the future. Ignore that there are 30 games in 8 years or whatever. Bob, shut up. I'm just gonna keep yelling, shut up until you do, because it's the future.
Great. I'm excited.
Here's what I love, okay? NVIDIA has to sell a GPU that has features that trick you into believing it's the future. Sony just has to sell a console that runs games well and presents a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
So when Sony and Microsoft's consoles don't forsake normal rastered performance for ray tracing, you go, well, yeah, they want every game to run well. But when NVIDIA starts stacking so much ray trace-oriented hardware on their GPUs that the games don't arrive, you know, my favorite ray trace video games, Mario 64.
A game that's totally for sale was ray tracing, right?
And Quake 2.
You had to pay for that one, right?
Yes. Yes.
Are you sure?
Also, Bob, my copy of Mario 64 is an original cart rip. Thank you for the ray trace mod. I do that.
Stuff like that just seems like so much better a use. We got so fucking good at faking lighting in high-end games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That taking some goofy shit like we added ray tracing into like fucking I don't know, trying to think of an example here. Like we added ray tracing to Devil May Cry 3 is so much more of a useful and interesting visually thing.
Yes.
I think it was my favorite coverage of any of this ray tracing stuff has been Gamers Nexus talking about that new ray tracing mode for Cyberpunk, where like, here's this rape scene we thought would look really cool and different, but they pre-baked all the lighting and it looked good anyway. So yeah, it's basically the same.
Yeah, if you guys want some good tech reviewers for PC, Gamers Nexus is actually my favorite. We have a bar mat from them. I have coasters from them. They do really great stuff. Also, their coasters are really cool.
The coasters are very cool.
Let me punch in on that, Bob.
Yes.
Oh no, we're getting notification sounds. I'm hitting the mute button, co-host. We won't be able to hear you. I'm not ruining the audio podcast anyways.
Yes,
but yeah, you can see it's got like a motherboard-like design with all sorts of FinFETs and cool buttons and things and LED readouts.
Yes,
it's a really, really good coaster. Yeah, it's got LEDs for our debug readout. It's really good. And they have several of those. I love this company. I also have glasses from them. And the reason why I love them is because they do really good coverage that isn't overly poetic, overly waxing poetic on this sort of stuff. It's not. I don't think that actually stopped the sub sounds. It really should have. I muted the PC, but it seemed to have not done that.
Oh, that's sad.
Chat, you will let me know. No, that seemed to have not done that. Well, that's unfortunate. I may have to edit that out. on the audio version of this, where they don't have any reason to hear these sub sounds. Anyways, Gamers Nexus coverage of the Cyberpunk stuff is really good. I really appreciate them. They don't lose track of stuff. They don't sit there and go, well, this is the future, so it's fine that this price is way too high.
Right.
You know, they point out that you expect the path tracing version of a scene to look good, but then it turns out, oh, wait, artists came in here and custom tuned the lighting so it looked good originally. Now it actually looks overly bright and bad.
Right? It's like there's an artistic intent is a real thing. We can't just be like path tracing will fix or we'll make it look good.
Which a lot of these people with, as Chris says, tech brain do believe that path tracing will look better because it will look more realistic. It's like, that's not how art works. Do you realize when you watch a movie, they fake the lighting? Are you aware?
No, they just use whatever's actually in that room. It looked great, actually.
And every video game ever also strives for realistic looking lighting. Anyway. Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
We need to move on.
Sure.
We're moving on. Now for really bad news.
Oh, no.
So, Dreams. Sony did exactly what I said they would do during the Skyward Sword stream. God, it was so absolutely insane when someone added me and they're like, hey, you actually predicted this on that Skyward Sword stream 3 days ago. And I'm like, oh, great. I love being right. It feels so good. They are ending all live support going forward for the game as of September. They have one more update, maybe two, between now and then to help migrate to servers that are lower cost to maintain going forward and secure, unlike the Little Big Planet servers, which got hacked well past the heyday. Dreams will not get any more tool updates, any more system updates, or anything else. There's one last animation system update that should be good, hitting before then, and then Sony's just completely giving up and Media Molecule's moving on. So, as I said in the Skyward Sword stream, Epic is out here turning Fortnite into Dreams. Sony is going to slit Dreams' throat any second now. And
they
just completely abandon
this
it.
shit with the PS5.
Yes,
they
should
should have packed it with the fucking PS5. We said that even before the PS5 came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any logical person at Sony would have realized they could have packed it with the PS5 collection. And that alone would have gotten enough interest to get people looking at it.
It wasn't even in that collection, which, by the way, if you have a PS5 and you've never bought their online once, buy a month and claim those games before.
Yeah, because then you get like 25 or so pretty quality games for the rest of time as long as you have Plus. And that program ends in May or something.
Yeah, it's really close.
So
yeah,
you need to do that soon. I went all the PS4 gen without PlayStation Plus, but even as someone like that, I would definitely recommend just getting even a single month to claim all those games. Because once you claim them, anytime you have Plus, they're back.
Like, it was super bizarre how core to Sony's identity they acted like Little Big Planet was, and how every show for years had a confusing, uninformative Dream segment.
Yep.
And then it came out and they just didn't push it or support it or showcase it.
I'm not usually the type of guy to yell the popular answer to a thing as the thing, you know, because I try to avoid saying the DualShock 4's battery is bad because of the light. But I think that
was insane.
It was insane. People don't know how electricity works more at 11. I think that might actually be a Jim Ryan thing. Because he took charge right as Dreams went to launch, and that was when they stopped putting any emphasis on Dreams.
Yeah.
Dreams isn't a Hideo Kojima game.
Jim Ryan does seem like a really terrible executive.
Like, even if this wasn't his fault, I have no moral problem blaming him for it.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the Phil Spencer thing where it's like, well, I can blame problems at Xbox on Phil Spencer because Phil Spencer runs Xbox.
Right.
Like, I can blame Sony not putting enough marketing highlight on Dreams and bundling it in a smart way that gets it more attention on Jim Ryan because it is a thing at PlayStation.
Yeah, it's one of those things that should just obviously be a knockout if a lot of people got into it. Because like Roblox and all that sort of stuff take off like crazy.
Yes.
If this was just in the hands
of more
everyone.
People.
Yeah.
This should have been one of the games that also launched on PC.
Yes.
They should have gotten Nixies on getting this on PC immediately. Because that would have changed everything. Dreams is an absolutely amazing experience. If you've never seen Dreams, go watch our series, We Share Your Dreams, which I may be revisiting before the end of the year, because I think there were some absolutely delightful and amazing experiences to be had in there. I really think it's an amazing space. I don't doubt that people will keep making incredible things within Dreams. But it is so deeply upsetting to see them just completely ruin this. Completely squander the potential.
Yeah, thank God they're not like fully taking it offline. Like it's still going to be playable, and you can still like share levels and everything.
Yes, there are limitations on it of how much online storage you get. There are no more friends leaderboards, so you can't see how your friends did at levels because every level had a leaderboard.
God,
and they still do, but now they only show like the top 1,000 or 100 people on the leaderboard. There are no friend leaderboards. It's just going to be a distinctly less cool thing. It's really unfortunate. It is going to take away from some of what made it special. And fuck you, Sony. Yeah, fuck you. This was what's supposed to be one of those things that differentiates you from the competition. Things like Dreams that are super unique, interesting, high-tech experiences that are exclusively through you. But oh well. Let's give more Spider-Man. Anyway, I have one more bit of news. This is what we call fair coverage. Joseph Staten has been forsaken.
They're so fucked. Oh my god.
Fucked. For anyone who doesn't know, that was the person who was supposed to come in and right the ship that was Halo Infinite and then got stuck in the hyperbolic time chamber. He got betrayed. He was absolutely betrayed as they didn't give him employees. They gave him contractors to do it with who couldn't learn the engine in time to make any content to solve the problem. This motherfucker spent something like 3 years trying to solve the Infinite problem and then just leaves.
Yeah.
As a longtime Halo fan, I have no faith in Halo anymore. If you recall, before I was like, this is the most optimistic I've been about Halo in a long time. Them switching away from this old Bungie engine to Unreal Engine means they can solve some problems. Now, no faith at all.
Yeah, they just fired the only dude who was like, gave us any hope.
I haven't been this unoptimistic since Halo 5. Where it's just like, you obviously don't know what was wrong with 4, and now you're just leaning on multiplayer. Now, having the experience of playing Halo 5, I enjoyed. But heading into it, I was not optimistic. Because everything about the marketing and everything else in the fact it was rated T just made me like, what the fuck are you doing with this game? And the answer is what it always has been since Bungie left. They don't know. They never knew. But at least Bonnie Ross isn't involved anymore.
The only positive we got going right now.
Literally the only positive. And Microsoft will take that opportunity and squander it too. As they continue to not know how to shepherd any of their developers to make a game. Not even a franchise, which is something they absolutely can't handle, but a game. One singular game. Please, God, ship a fucking game.
No. So I had a thought the other day because I was thinking about Gears of War. So Halo, you know, it leaves Bungie, it goes to 343. They make a bunch of new shit. Yeah, the didact is from the book. So fuck that. But they make a bunch of new shit nobody likes, and Halo flatlines.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why the new Gears games have like nothing new at all and are all just retreading the stuff from the first 3 games?
I don't know that Microsoft can learn any lesson ever. So the thought that they learned the wrong lesson from 343, which the entire run of 343 implies no one learned shit. Seems like a reach, but I totally see where you're coming from with... I mean, to some extent, Gears 4 also had the problem of every new idea they had was stupid as hell.
But then, like in Gears 5, you even go back to that place from Gears 2 and meet the AI screen guy again.
Yeah,
which feels like such a bizarre thing to come back.
Yeah, it was a lot more. To some extent, I kind of feel like Gears 4 might have partially taught Coalition some sort of lesson there, but also in the wrong way, where Gears 5 needed to go back to said chamber to de-locust her. I don't know how to.
I don't know. Lobotomize her.
It was to cut her off from the locust hive mind.
Yes. Yeah. I really hate that Halo was great. It would have been so much easier to be aggro and be like, Halo actually sucks.
I don't remember being that.
Aggro's like, I don't remember saying that. I'm just kidding. No,
man, it feels like there were 3 terrible Gears of War, but there's only those 2. The 3 terrible Gears of War after it gets handed over to Coalition.
Right.
Because there was like 5 terrible Gears of War in general.
Right, because those 2 took an entire generation to ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got a bunch of updates for 5.
Yeah.
Like a lot of updates. Because it's esports.
Sure.
Good thing Halo Infinite also went in a very smart direction. I'm really glad. Halo Infinite might be the peak of, I don't want to listen to any motherfucker in the game review industry talk about this goddamn game. It hasn't been this bad since I had to get over the fact no U.S. journalist would ever be able to appreciate Dynasty Warriors back in the PS2 era.
Yeah.
I've never been more annoyed. And that is the exact right word. Fucking annoyed by how brain dead reviewers talking about Halo Infinite was. Because they're like, oh, it's got a big open world and that's really great. It's like, did you notice what the story was? Did you pay attention to how the story's told or what's in the story or how it moves the timeline or anything? Did you notice anything? And they're like, there's this big scary brute.
Or there's literally nothing in this open world. Did you notice that?
No!
Yeah, I'm like, it really is fucking insane how just open world casts a fucking witch's curse on game journalists. It's fucking crazy. Like, it even worked for Sonic of just like, okay, this game is going to review like 30 points higher than a normal Sonic game because we included open world elements and it tricked your fucking brain.
Yeah.
Like Halo Infinite has like the shittiest open world possible where it's just full of Ubisoft shit.
Yeah.
It's like it's full of enemy camps and that's it. And it's like, no, but my brain got tricked. This is better than a linear game somehow.
Yeah, like even though the enemy camps give you less reward than an Ubisoft game. Because like, here's a weapon. Oh, you're done with it? Oh, it's gone forever.
They had really weird systems for these specific camp types. If you go and get them, you can spawn these different vehicles. But yeah, if you ever wondered why every game needs to be a gigantic open world game, it's journalists. It's always been journalists. They are still consistently ruining the industry as they just review games better if they're huge.
Mm-hmm.
Remember in Halo 2 and 3 when they had levels and the levels had like a flow to them and events transpired across you traveling through the level, which had stakes and meaning. And then there were level layouts, which allowed you to have gunplay that was cool. And then you would get a cool cutscene.
No.
Fuck Halo Infinite. Anyway, we're moving on from Staten Forsaken, to Red Fallen.
Do you think Satan's just gonna show up at Bungie in like 5 weeks?
I mean, they're owned by Sony now, so yes.
Okay, I was just getting the gauge on everything.
I don't want to like. What if that Sony's just like, Microsoft? This acquisition will sadly probably go through, so we better just have Bungie make a multiplayer shooter for us. Get Joseph Staten back here.
That would be. Look, that would take so long to have happen that I probably would be in my 40s by the time that fully played out.
Right.
But I would never stop laughing. Just to be clear. If the ultimate arc of Xbox Original to Xbox Series 2 is that Bungie got bought by Sony eventually, and the Halo guy left Microsoft to come back to Bungie to make their own Halo, because guess what, dipshits? The thing that made Xbox great was the fucking games. So get your shit together and support the people who can make them to make the best damn games they can. Because the only reason anyone gave a remote fuck about the original Xbox is because Fable tricked them, and Halo.
Halo. I went down like a Wikipedia hole the other day and ended up on the page of the 50 best-selling games of all time. There's like 4 or 5 Call of Duties on there.
Makes sense.
There's one Sony game and one Microsoft game, and like fucking 25 Nintendo games. They sure kick the shit out of everyone. And before someone asked, Minecraft doesn't fucking count. It was the best-selling game of all time before Microsoft bought it, so it does not. They don't get a W in their column.
Yeah, that's fucking absurd. That shit literally was the most popular, most purchased game ever before Microsoft. That doesn't.
It's Connected Ventures, which explains why they went insane for the Xbox One.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And Sony's is God of War 2018.
Wonder what ramifications that will have. I'm surprised Spider-Man didn't break the list.
I must assume it must be right under it. Because both the Sony and Microsoft ones are pretty low on the list. They're like almost at the bottom.
Well, when you have a giant block of Nintendo.
Yeah, you just have the Switch block of here's all our games that sold over 40 million copies.
Oh, yeah. I didn't write this in the news, but I thought I would bring it up. Everyone's like, holy shit, the Super Mario Bros. Movie is breaking records. And I'm just like, no shit!
It's a Nintendo thing.
It's the most popular Nintendo thing.
I think this Mario guy might be pretty fucking popular.
He might be as well known as Mickey Mouse.
Oh, my God. Oh, and the movie's pretty good. So...
I don't remember who tweeted it, so I can't give them credit. I just saw somebody post like Disney looking at Kingdom Hearts after this, and it's like a clip of Doug Walker turning his head and grinning real wide creepily.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
No, you can't. You cannot make a Kingdom Hearts movie. I refuse to live in a world where a Kingdom Hearts game has a world based on a Kingdom Hearts movie.
Oh God, I want that bad because that would get up its ass in a delightful way.
See, that would be so funny because just like the Pirates of the Caribbean levels, that would be the hyper realistic level.
Like, Kingdom Hearts finally becomes exactly the way people who hate Kingdom Hearts describes Kingdom Hearts.
The best, honestly, the best outcome from this Mario movie, in my opinion, is if it teaches Hollywood, yeah, that your shit doesn't have to be live action, dumbass.
I mean, yeah, we got to a point where CG looks so good and visual effects CG looks so bad that I'd rather watch a fucking animated thing because it's more easily able to have stakes and impact me. Meanwhile, every movie with these green screens and special effects have to be shot in such a stale manner that it really affects how the sequences look. Like, the Mario movie has better action sequences that land and have more impact than Uncharted. One of these has the real humans in it, allegedly. But every time I play back the fucking back of the airplane coming down thing, I'm just like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You look like so much more of a cartoon than Mario.
But we have to talk about Redfall, sadly.
Yeah, indeed.
So Redfall's only going to have quality mode on Xbox at launch. That means 4K 30 on Series X and 1440 30 on Series S. Is it really that important? This game ships in May.
So, unconfirmed, but on Reset Era a while ago, there was the thing of like Microsoft is really pressuring the game studios to ship stuff because Azure, their cloud stuff isn't making money. So originally they were going to pressure Bethesda to ship Starfield in June. And the whole time Bethesda's like, no. Apparently Redfall did not win the argument.
Yeah, I can't.
So, and this is an Arcane game. If you don't know, their 30 FPS games are fucked. Like, they're frame paced wrong. They have the Bloodborne frame pacing where it hurts your fucking eyes.
Yeah, and the games always feel so bad that you need that 60 to try and smooth things out, too.
I really do just look at Redfall. I'm like, who is this fucking for? I feel like Microsoft has adopted this weird identity in their mind. Xbox's game identity is like this weird image of like a PC gamer. So they fund these Western style RPGs. They fund these like Borderlands adjacent things.
Mm-hmm.
They fund like strategy games. And I'm like, you make a console. You need to be funding games that in genres that are popular and easy to make good on a console.
The weird thing is, like, Borderlands is super popular on console, but
It is.
Yeah, but Borderlands exists already.
I
Like,
know.
You
Real
filled
quick,
that slot with Borderlands.
if you're watching live on Twitch right now, I just did a poll. All I'm asking is you to choose between resolution and frame rate, resolution and ray tracing or frame rate. You know, maybe you prefer a ray tracing mode that lowers the frame rate or a resolution mode. That's basically the same concept. So choose between those two. You know, you get your frames per second or your image quality. I just want to see. You got like 5 minutes to answer that poll. Yeah, I don't know. Like, that is definitely why they bought Bethesda, though, Chris.
Yeah.
Because they're the cornerstone of that.
Yeah, but let's be real. They bought Bethesda to get their open world games. They don't give a shit about anything else at that company, and maybe Doom because Doom's big.
Yeah,
but they don't give a they don't give a shit about Arcane and Tango and anybody else that I forgot that Bethesda has. Like, they give a shit about id, and yeah, they don't give a fuck about any of those studios.
No.
Yeah, they just got it for the Skyrim.
They got it for Skyrim 2.
Yes. Which they then found out wasn't real.
Which ties into this other little tiny bit of Microsoft news.
We only have 136 votes. We still have about 200, 300 people who need to go vote. We need to know. We need to know right now. Anyways, continue, Chris.
Ghostwire Tokyo doesn't seem like it's getting a physical Xbox release.
That seems so crazy. Does it? At the same time, it doesn't, but also...
It's insane, but also predictable, right? It's
like, it's that phenomenon I have to keep bringing up on Big Think Dimension, where something is so obvious that it is surprising that it happens.
I mean, you worked at GameStop.
Yeah.
When Gears 5 came out.
Yes.
You saw what Game Pass did to that game.
Yeah, and
Gears 5, anyone cares about. Ghostwire Tokyo?
Yeah, obviously this thing is like every other game they make, only for Game Pass, basically. Like, they don't consider other releases because it's like we don't want to make money.
Why would someone buy a game?
Yeah.
So when is that guy who came back to Disney and started kicking shit in gonna show up at Microsoft randomly and start being like, fucking Game Pass? I'll kill you.
Yeah. When are they going to learn they need to do the same thing Cinema does? We're like, no, 6 months and then you can put it on Game Pass.
Yeah, speaking of which, was it you who brought up the
Bob?
Yeah, it was Chris,
it has to
I
be
believe.
even longer than that.
It does.
Because there are already people who you see them under any... Like, if you go look at Wario 64, this game is coming out this post, you see Xbox fans like, no, I'll just wait till it inevitably comes to Game Pass.
Yeah. That they've trained their audience.
Which, just to be real, very quick about this before we move, or I step away from the soapbox. If your main competition is a company that paradoxically makes no money, something's gone wrong with capitalism.
Yeah.
And it's so reproducible, it's so predictable, but it needs to be said that if your competition is Game Pass, which doesn't make money, even though you make press releases about it making money, and people buy more games when they have it. It's not that demographically, income-wise, we've cut off a number of people who can't afford that many games, and now number go up.
I found some corner of this pie chart that's good. I will show you only that one.
Zoom.
Game Pass,
Yes.
Game Pass is doing great. That's why there was just that thing earlier this year where they fired a bunch of people, and every single thing about it was, you have to make games with less money. This isn't working out on our end. Can you believe that you can't have a subscription service that funds an entire, like, 10,000 people level of game studio?
I mean, when you think about it, there has to be at least 70,000 Microsoft Game Studios employees, Xbox Game Studios employees.
I think Xbox Game Studios only has like an employee count of like 10,000 because there's all those contracted people too. I guess they don't count though.
That's true. When you don't count those, maybe 10,000 there, but there are other studios. There's Double Fine, there's Bethesda, there's all these people.
I think those are all counted under the under the banner of Xbox Game Studios.
That's
now.
insane. No wonder they rely on contractors so much. Because
Sony doesn't have that many either. Sony's like also around 10,000.
Yes, but Sony has PlayStation Malaysia, who makes art for different games, right? So they get to roll over into every project. The people who work on your Doom game are not working on your Starfield and also your Skyrim 2, which I will not stop calling it because every day we move closer to Microsoft will force them to call it that. But yeah, not shipping a game on a fucking disc is really bizarre on a console. Just period. Some people out there who are very into digital games will be like, nah, that's normal. No. On PC it is, though. Because, you know, on PC, they don't get 10 million sales on most games. Most. I stress that. Anyways. Chris, let's move on to your other news.
Okay. So, the magical first-person shooter Immortals of Avium, which, if you don't remember this, it had a trailer at the Game Awards where a guy has like a magic clockwork gauntlet and walks out and looks at a war.
And we were like, oh, this looks cool.
Yeah.
I still don't remember that. I watched the trailer for this, Chris. You are gaslighting me. You made this game up and you uploaded that to EA servers.
Yeah, and me and Chris and Agro all agreed to call you a liar and an idiot, Bob.
This is a single-player game by the creative director of Dead Space. Bro, this shit is $70. EA sure isn't cooking shit this year. First they had that Wild Hearts, which just bombed through the fucking core of the earth immediately.
And
they're trying to save it real hard right now, where they're like, you can have the first 10 hours for free, and it's on sale. Please, 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 please. This did so bad. We put so much fucking money into this. And then allegedly that Dead Space remake didn't do nearly as good as EA wanted either. Like I know they haven't come out and said anything, but like numbers I heard floating around was like, yeah, it sold a third of what they wanted.
I assume that Need for Speed they didn't market at all. Also just bombed.
Yeah, but was that 70?
Yeah. Yeah, no, they've just been dedicated to this bit.
And this, like,
it seems crazy to do this for a new IP like this. Like,
yeah, it's insane. But Wild Hearts was also a new IP, so it's just like pop in the head.
Yeah. Don't give it a chance.
Maybe they can get this in at a big Microsoft show or a big Sony show before, because it doesn't come out till late July. It comes out July 20th.
Okay.
The new trailer they put out today when they announced that still doesn't really have gameplay. It has like 30 seconds of gameplay that seems to be running badly.
Yeah, I'm still unclear on like what makes it interesting and unique as a first-person shooter, other than you shoot magic. Because that certainly isn't enough. As Ghostwire showed me.
Ghostwire. It did remind me of Ghostwire just from what I was watching. So like, I don't know. You got to show me this game. EA has been really fucking bad at marketing lately. I feel like they have this really arrogant attitude, like, no, we don't need to market our games.
It's like the only good trailers I can think from them have been Star Wars. Like that Star Wars Jedi Survivor trailer they just released is actually rocked. Like
or maybe they're just doing the wrong thing or marketing, because some game journalists have been like, yeah, EA always asks us to preview their stuff. And I'm like, guys, people aren't going to game journalists for that kind of thing anymore. Like, you're not really marketing just because you call a bunch of them up and have them preview your game. You need to like do a trailer or a gameplay presentation or give it to streamers or something.
I forgot that did happen for Wild Hearts as well, where there just was some event the journalists got to attend and got footage for and talked about. But yeah, that's the same as actually doing a dedicated trailer.
Like, this game comes out in 3 months? Yeah, 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have like here's 15 minutes of gameplay. I get so suspicious when you won't show me what, like, the game. And scraps of gameplay is not the game. I need to see how a segment plays.
Yeah, we need to have that moment like The Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, where you show us 15 minutes and then delay it for a whole year.
Yeah, like that's also a thing that happened with like I said this repeatedly leading up to Hogwarts Legacy coming out. Like they aren't showing us the game. It must be really fucking bad. And then the game comes out and it's like, here's an enemy locking into a swing position and gliding frictionlessly across the floor for 30 feet to hit you. And I'm like, yeah, it's not done. No shit. That's why you didn't want to show anybody it. And this just feels like the same situation.
I'm gonna look this up. I need to know because I was actually interested in that game. At a conceptual
You don't get
level.
very much in that new trailer. It's just mostly just story stuff with a tiny bit of gameplay that has the UI pulled out, which they seem to think is fun now.
Pre-rendered. Oh no. Oh, that is.
Although,
One second, I have a theory. Is this a 24 frame per second video? No, it is not. Oh man, you could have tricked me.
That's how you know it's real good.
Yeah, it also seems when it goes into the gameplay like the resolution tanks.
This should be cool, though.
It should be.
It looks wicked. There's so many cool things happening. Will this game run on my 4090?
If you work at BioWare, please look out for EA executives stumbling in drunk to slash your budget after all these fucking big AAA things bomb.
Oh yeah, I also meant to mention during the theory that Microsoft Azure, like tanking profits wise, caused them to put pressure on Bethesda Studios of all things to ship their fucking games ahead of schedule. I hate that about corporate consolidation. That pisses me off beyond all recognition.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's one of those things that just genuinely, why would that happen if they weren't?
That sure shouldn't ever happen.
Right? It's like, that doesn't make any sense to happen, but this acquisition happened, so obviously it leads to his.
Dan, you're going to have to wear diapers. What? Why do I have to do that? Well, Agra got piss-ass drunk one day and shit his pants at work, so you're in diapers for the rest of your life, man. Okay. All right. That makes any amount of fucking sense.
Yeah, this is another one of those games that I looked in the replies of Wario64 tweeting the trailer and just saw a bunch of people saying like, no, I'm gonna wait for this to be on Game Pass because all EA stuff comes to Game Pass now. I'll just wait. That's why I literally saw people saying I didn't buy Dead Space. I'll wait until it comes to Game Pass.
Yeah, because Game Pass did get bundled that EA Pass with it, so you know it's coming.
Yeah.
And it isn't I didn't put this in news, but it isn't bundled. But Ubisoft launched their bullshit on Xbox. Where you can give them $16 a month for the fucking Ubisoft subscription service.
Well, the weird thing is it is bundled on a PlayStation.
Is it?
Yeah, that's a part of the premium.
Oh.
Which is really funny because I after
is it? Because there's a lot of stuff on that Ubisoft thing.
Yeah, it is. It is there. I was looking at it recently and I was like, because I was so upset last week or the week before over the PS1 emulation being so bad, I'm canceling that.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, the third tier, not extra, premium. I was looking at that, and I was like, I guess if I want to play any of these Ubisoft games, I should do that before this ends in June or July or whatever that is.
Can I pay less to not have the Ubisoft games?
That would be nice. If I want to play a Ubisoft game, I will give them the $4 they will charge for it at a random point in a sale, and I'll be good.
Let's go to the fucking funny thing.
Okay,
it already got brought up. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League has been delayed until February 2nd of next year.
No, we swear it's just a little polish. We're not changing anything.
We're not, and they can't. They're so fucked.
Yeah, what are they gonna do?
I don't think we've ever seen a case like this where a developer does a big expose. They get like a 10-minute, 15-minute chunk at one of these big shows to show their game, and reception is so fucking venomous. They're like, put it back in the oven. Put it back in the oven. We are not shipping in 2 months like we said. We're actually shipping a year from now.
Do you think the Sony execs got upset with them when they're like, you brought this to our showcase?
The Sony exec looks like Thor from God of War Ragnarok. Barely fits in the door. They're like, oh shit. God, could you imagine? Could you imagine that that's... God, Sony really did sign a bunch of L's, didn't they?
They sure did.
They fucking did.
And then Microsoft lost their fucking minds because they were so jealous that Sony had so many L's that they had to start buying companies.
Yeah, Microsoft had to start finding W's and snapping them in half so they also had as many L's.
They have twice as many L's now. They turned one W into two L's. Good Lord.
So this is going to be just like Gotham Knights, where it's going to ship with all that shit ripped out and just feel bizarre and hollow.
Yeah, guys, can we talk? I posit they should just ship the game and move past it. Bob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aggro?
I, for some reason, feel strangely optimistic. Like, this was a bold move of, oh, everyone hates our game. Maybe we should try to fix it. I want to believe that something good can come of that.
If they hadn't
Not in a year.
Yeah, well, there's that. But also, I feel like if they hadn't got rid of studio leadership, because it's really hard. It's really hard just having the head cut off and be like, okay, now fix the game. And they're like, you're the one who made us make it.
I really hope it's not some weird hollow thing like Gotham Knights was. I want to see a fucking mutant. I want them to try and take 2 left turns and come out with 3 heads.
Yeah.
I so want them to just be like, it's canceled.
Here's public execution
Superman
is
game.
held. Oh, is it a new Superman?
Yes, here's your new Superman game. We're sorry.
It's hard to overstate how much there must be some executive at WB Games that has been fucking this game for over a decade. It came out that WB Games was working on this, that they were working on a Suicide Squad game in 2011. It was supposed to be at WB Games Montreal. They took it from them in 2016. I guess they sent it right over to Rocksteady, and then Montreal had to make fucking Gotham Knights.
Oh my God.
Like, they can't, there is no happy ending here. You might as well just ship the game and die. At least then you didn't pay those employees for another year of developing this game that's not going to make any money anyway.
You know, it was really nice back in the day when a studio would just get the license to a game from a publisher and then get to do whatever. At least the games came out.
Right.
Well, it's a good thing we're getting Spider-Man 2 later this year. I want to feel good about comic book based games. What's next? What do we got next?
We have a couple other things. Super Bomberman R2 launches September 13th in North America and September 14th in Europe and Japan.
That's Super Bomberman right trigger for Xbox players.
God damn it. I was waiting this whole time.
I can't believe this isn't out yet. I feel like they announced this so long ago that I figured it came out.
I think you were confused by that weird Battle Royale Super Bomberman R.
Maybe.
Because they only announced this late last year.
It just seemed like such a minor upgrade that was like, well, yeah, that's going to come out.
This, man, is why Bomberman sucks now. Bomberman fans are like, yeah, wait, what? It sucks now. Go back to make a real 3D Bomberman. Make Bomberman 64 again. That shit was based.
Yeah, I only remember this got announced because I remember being mad we weren't getting Adventure again.
Yeah,
It was-
we need
it was
a different
Bomberman-
timeline.
It was Bomberman Hero that was a Bonk game, right?
Yes, I believe so. This is highly relevant for tomorrow's stream, which I will spoil right now. It is a retro roulette event 64 games.
Ooh.
Banana.
Yeah. Well,
Not
probably-
that one. Not that one.
I was like, we're probably going to make it do it.
No. Why did we put this in their heads? Anyways, I'm really excited for Super Bomberman R2.
Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun, which is a Warhammer 40k boomer shooter. It's like voxel based. It looks like a throwback game. Launches May 23rd.
Yeah, the trailers look pretty cool.
Yeah, you should go watch the IGN review of this on YouTube. There's a great part where halfway through the guy admits he only played an hour of it.
What?
Why is there a review of it? It doesn't come out till May. I'm so confused.
I mean,
Yup.
IGN's getting really weird. They released a review of Diablo 4 when the beta was out.
Okay, no.
Yeah, right.
No.
Yeah.
We draw the line here. No.
Yeah, IGN just... No.
No.
Stop.
So, like BuzzFeed and a bunch of other sites already got caught doing this. How long before IGN gets caught using ChatGPT to make articles?
Oh my god.
Like caught, like somebody proves they're already doing it?
Yes.
Yeah, because clearly they are.
And lastly, Disgaea RPG, the gacha game, is ending its English service. I think we're kind of getting to the end of this gacha trend, because so many of them are dying or just like flatlining instantly in the United States that I feel like we're reaching the point where it's like, yeah, this isn't going to make money anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need one of the, because except for Fire Emblem Heroes,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of the and Fate doesn't fucking count. Fuck you. Fate doesn't count. That's like 95% new shit. None of these based on a franchise ones seem to do very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, that is the franchise basically for Fate now.
Yeah, they're like like the two Nintendo ones, Pokemon Masters, which does okay. I don't even think it makes that much money in the scheme of gacha games.
Yeah, it really doesn't have that much sex. They're
Right.
really overselling.
And Fire Emblem Heroes, like other than those two things, it feels like the 45 different Final Fantasy ones don't seem to do that good. The 45 different Tales ones don't seem to do very good. The Star Ocean one I don't think does very good. I don't even think that one got an English release, and it might actually be shut down. I haven't.
Yeah,
checked
they
in a
shut
while.
it down a while ago, right before the launch of the new Star Ocean game.
And then that Saga one, I think, ended or is ending soon.
Oh, that makes
And
sense.
then Nintendo killed its entirely original one last year, which was Dragalia Lost.
Yep.
Yeah, it just really feels like we're at the end. It's that situation of like, yeah, if somebody is vulnerable to a gacha game, they're playing Arknights or Fate Grand Order or Grand Blue Fantasy or I know there's others that I'm
I'm like,
can't
you
think
got
of.
the
Fire Emblem
headliner.
Heroes,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
like or Genshin Impact, which counts sort of,
Yeah.
even if it's a real game,
Yeah, it
or
counts.
Honk. Like there's no
Honk.
more room. There's no more room.
Yeah. We always hit this point when there's a boom of a genre. We're here now. Before we go to aggro news, I'm going to note the poll came back in.
Okay.
All of 1.1% of people use the resolution or ray trace mode. 99%, rounded up, of our poll here uses frame rate mode.
Yeah. I suspect that is the most of the industry.
NVIDIA made frames win games a fucking tagline.
They did, yes. That is their tagline because they're trying to sell to esports players.
What's their tagline for ray tracing? Ray tracing gets you divorced. Like,
oh, thank God. She won't leave me alone. Turns on RTX on and he becomes a divorce guy.
Vegeta materializes.
Yes. Like Kingdom fucking Hearts. It's just sparkles come down to form it. Holy shit. Hey, Aggro, you have news.
Okay, I'm going to run through a news story that has been propagated on gaming news sites because they were able to tangentially link it to a video game.
Okay.
All right.
So there's this guy named Jack Teixeira who worked for the 102nd Intelligence Wing of the Massachusetts Air National Guard. And he's an asshole. And he's on a small Discord with a bunch of other assholes, and he kept like hand typing notes about classified documents so he could like predict things before they happen. Like, yeah, look at all this shit I know. That's what I base my personal worth on. And somebody like said pics or it didn't happen, so the dumb asshole put up actual pics of classified documents. Like shit like military equipment countries like, the United States is shipping to Ukraine, Ukraine's offensive anti-air capabilities, fatality statistics, that kind of shit. Somebody from that Discord posted it on another Discord, and then it got posted on a Discord for some Minecraft world map project.
Why?
Which was the last Discord it was on before it hit Twitter, and the FBI found out about it.
This is not a fucking around thing too. This included shit that they really didn't want to get out for like the morale of Ukrainian forces reasons. Shit like, they're about like of the US intelligence saying shit like, they're about to hit a stalemate that's never gonna break ever.
Yeah, this is that stuff they made posters about in World War II. This is the kind of shit you don't put out because people will die.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, like 2 hours before we went live, the FBI picked this dumb asshole up. But yeah, that's the reason it was on Kotaku and Games Radar and IGN, because at one point in the chain of illegal custody of these several Discord servers that people are deleting their accounts and running from because they think that'll work, one of them had to do with Minecraft.
So the real question is, why did a 21-year-old National Guard member in Massachusetts' National Guard Intelligence Division, why do they have their own intelligence division, have access to these documents? You fucked up on too many levels for us to even get here.
Yep. So moving on from that clusterfuck.
Yeah.
For reasons currently unbeknownst to anyone, Starfield seems to have removed Russian as a language option in their game.
I'm surprised we even know this.
Took it off the Steam store. It was in the game in a recent version that people played, and now it's just out of the files. We're not sure what's going on with that.
That's bizarre. Are they getting ready for some new fucking stupid form of sanctions we're gonna cook up?
Yeah, see, like people are like, is it political? We don't know. There are other countries than Russia that speak Russian.
There could be people who live in the United States where Russian is their first language, and maybe they would like to play something in their first language instead of a language that they're less experienced with.
So why are you guys distracting from this based dub that Microsoft has? These fucking Sony ponies, I swear to God.
Jesus. I'm like, based dub? Which dub? The Russian dub is gone. So I guess we'll just have to see if this turns into a thing or a whoops, the intern accidentally deleted Russian.
Right.
It turned
two
fucking intern's like based just deletes it. He's like, oh, and the guy behind him's like, what the fuck are you doing, Tom?
Like he calls into a supervisor. Oh fuck, I just deleted all the Russian UI elements from the server. What do I do? Delete Russian from the Steam store. Two linked stories. Resident Evil Village seems to have removed Denuvo from its PC version.
Woo.
They just sort of did it. Didn't talk about it. We just kind of found out.
That. Yeah. I love that they do that.
Ghostwire Tokyo seems to have quietly added Denuvo to its PC version.
What the fuck? Why would you add it in later?
Quadrupling the size of its executable file.
Whoa! Based.
Yeah, no idea why they did it. Like it's a single player game that's already out. Like it's already been cracked. What was the point of this?
Right? I have no idea.
Get ready for a really ill-conceived Ghostwire Tokyo multiplayer update.
All right.
Last update was already confusing enough.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
I heard you as well have some news.
Yes.
I'm going to be weird and ask you to do your second bullet first.
Sure. Trine 5. A Clockwork Conspiracy is real. It comes out this summer.
What the fuck?
That's going to be on Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And PS5 as well.
In my brain, this is like, you guys excited for Lost Vikings 8? Like, that's how that feels. Because when I played the first Trine and the second Trine, I was like, okay, cool. It's like Lost Vikings. That's neat. Wonder what they'll make next.
It's so weird. The trailer, there's like actually really well done and composed cinematics now. And then it's just transitions hard into looks the gameplay identically to Trine 2. Like absolutely identical.
Someone out there is like, you know how we talk about what was it? Chris brings it up all the time. Those types of picture games where you need to find the things in the picture. There's got to be some demographic of person, some cornerstone of humanity that is holding up Trine on its shoulders like Atlas.
Where are they? Where are the Trine heads at? Never met one. But they've got to be out there.
There's
somebody's buying these.
Huge groups of people that just love Trine that I've never seen.
So here's the thing. This is a THQ Nordic joint.
Okay.
All right.
So, and if they have to make only 20% of the assets in the game because they already have all the other ones from previous Trine games, it can turn exactly enough of a profit for THQ Nordic to go more.
I don't even know when Trine 4 came out.
2019.
Oh my God.
It's been a couple hours. Trine 4 came out.
God. Yeah, Trine 4 looks exactly like Trine 5. I'm looking at them like side by side now. They have almost the exact same assets.
That doesn't surprise me. It looks almost exactly like 2.
That's so insane. For anyone who doesn't know, we have deep PTSD from Trine. Because, we've talked about this in the past. In the early days of GigaBoots, recording a video was not as simple. OBS wasn't invented yet. So we're trying to get our recording software to just record a video of us doing a quick play of Trine 2, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it failed. Which, that wasn't uncommon. That had happened a number of times. But this is one where it's me, Bob, and Aggro doing the quick play. And then it failed again. And it just started feeling malicious.
Like you were trapped.
Trine had an evil energy that we were battling. Did we do that 4 times or just 3? Because it felt like 4.
It felt like 4. I'm not sure anymore. Aggro,
I swear.
It's possible we did a third one and then just deleted it and did a 4th one for no reason.
So instead of engaging in anything in a sane way, all 3 of us are basically just shouting weird caricatures of what we expressed genuinely in the first, second, and third recordings. I'm like, wow, that's really neat. That log fell. And it's that for like 20 or 30 minutes straight.
Have I ever expressed how deeply grateful I am that nothing we have ever recorded for the podcast network has ever fucked up?
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the worst thing, the time that we almost lost to chugging bleach is like the worst it was ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the worst it ever was. I'm going to give second place to almost losing the Mario 93 thing, which I had to confirm we did not lose before I stuck in that ending. That didn't happen, right? No, we're good. Oh, thank God. Yeah, there's a reason I have a deep appreciation for hardware recorders. There's a reason I have a deep appreciation for this mix pre that sits over here, and I push record, and it records the sound I am making into this microphone.
Mm-hmm.
That way Windows and software cannot ruin it. Anyways, Trine 5, A Clockwork Conspiracy, announced for summer on everything. It looks like Trine.
Maybe buy a mix pre, I guess.
Maybe buy a mix pre. Oh, yeah, that's right. We entirely lost the Devil's Third, giving games a chance, but that was washed away by us doing that stream with the delightful Dr. Aggro, which none of you said happy birthday to.
How could you?
You bastards.
You bastards. You should have known. So should I. Hey, Bob, you got other news?
Sure. Rumor going around this week, some footage leaked of Persona 3 remake in a Jet Set Radio remake. Or not remake, but brand new Jet Set Radio.
Yes.
That's allegedly from footage they made in 2021 for these games to show internally.
Yes.
That looks pretty cool. Hopefully it's real. Especially the Jet Set Radio. I would like to see them do a new one of those that plays like a game like that should.
Yeah. It's really refreshing listening to Jet Set Radio fan recently who was like, yeah, that game should control a lot better.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be really cool if that happened.
Gematsu seemingly confirmed that they are making a Persona 3 remake. They did not confirm if that footage was real, which kind of makes me think that footage is fake. Because somebody was like, yeah, this looks identical to the models they made for the dancing thing.
Oh, well, I heard some people say like a mobile game. Like it looked like some sort of Persona mobile game. Animations wise.
I also saw people saying that the bow she used was literally a bow from a demon that's in like a different Persona or in a SMT5, I think.
Huh.
Yeah, but Gematsu said, yeah, we understand that they are working on something like this. We cannot confirm or verify this footage, though.
Hey, Bob, let's start with the Zelda trailer news.
Sure. Man, I was Persona 3. I get the reason they're remaking it, but it does just kind of hurt to be like, I feel like we need a new one, not a remake of one.
They could be making both.
They could.
They could be doing both. I just think it's funny, the Persona 3 remake, if it's real. I just think that's funny from the angle of it's that situation that happens sometimes where guys like, I don't like the last couple games this studio made. I wish they'd remake the last one I did like. And I'm like, you're just like, I've never seen anybody just be like, yes, please give me the monkey's paw. I will take its power.
Yeah, I feel like they could absolutely just make a version of Persona 3 that's great and worth playing, but the people who love Persona 3 would probably hate it. Yeah.
I think a lot of people who like Persona 3 might like it for reasons other than what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like imagery and ideas, and not necessarily how that gameplay works.
I mean, there's a lot of Persona 3 fans who are like, the reason you can't control your party members is very important to the themes and narrative. The PSP version that lets you control them is cucked and for babies.
Oh yeah, no, that's a chunk of them for sure.
Yeah. Zelda news. We got a new Zelda trailer today. It looked really cool.
We got the final Tears of the Kingdom trailer, which is what they said it was.
Mm-hmm.
They better not have lied.
Yeah, no more Tears
Arm
of the
life
Kingdom trailers.
debunked.
Maybe.
Unless, yes.
This thing showed a bunch of bosses that look really unique and cool. And yeah, like towns, which there were towns in the last one.
Yes, there was.
Mm-hmm.
But that's always cool to see, and stuff that might be dungeons.
It's exciting.
I was really, really hoping that's like, okay, this obviously is using a lot of stuff from Breath of the Wild 1. Like, I think they even show the exact same version of Karakiro Village or Kakariko or whatever, the village that's in Breath of the Wild 1. I was like, please just let them be like, okay, we have all the systems. We can just add a couple more systems and add the shit that's normally in a Zelda game now. Which I really hope is the case.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm not ready for a world where Tears of the Kingdom is a 10 out of 10 and Resident Evil 4 Remake's a 10 out of 10. And then somehow Spider-Man 2 is a 10 out of 10, and I go, man, Gran Turismo 7, why couldn't you come out this year as well? So that way my top 10 list has so many 10s.
And getting a little bit ahead, now that they showed that Final Fantasy shit, that might be a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that looked fucking sick. Is that? No, that's not in our news. No one actually went, State of Play, Final Fantasy 16 looks sick.
This is just the stuff we saw a month ago, but
it looks
more
sick.
stuff.
Yeah.
A lot more. Honestly, I watched that trailer. I'm like, there's so much shit. Is this good? Is this going to have the God of War Ragnarok effect, where I'm going, how's there more? How's there more? How's there more?
I really fear they have shown us literally every Akon battle.
Yeah, I mean, there is the Square problem.
Where they love showing too much.
Yeah, they pretty consistently for a lot of their games showed what everyone can agree is too much.
Yoshi P normally doesn't do that. Yoshi P does like Kojima shit where he'll just show you fake versions of cutscenes.
So what you're saying is our main character is not making it to their 30s. They're going to die.
I would, if there was some twist where like the little brother character is somehow the actual main character, the back half of that game, I would not be shocked.
Oh, that would be awesome. I'm actually really annoyed that they keep going, you're going to experience this story in his teens, 20s, and 30s. I'm like, why are you telling me that? The time jump would have been cool to see.
Right.
I don't want to fucking hear this. Shut up.
It seems like they might not be going in like chronological order though, so I guess they have to tell you.
Which is another weird element because, of course, before they framed it as exactly as I said it.
Yeah.
But now they're framing it as, you'll get flashbacks. I'm like, why the fuck did you phrase that?
Why did you tell me? Why are you telling me this?
Yeah. Anyway, the state of play stuff they showed today looks sick as shit.
Yeah,
I've been excited for this game ever since the second or third trailer where they're like, here's the world. And I'm like, oh, that world looks cool. And now they're like, here's the gameplay. And I'm like, oh, the gameplay looks good.
It is a bunch of like, we've decided to not show you enough normal stuff.
Right.
Like, that's what it felt weird about showing 20 minutes of just the sickest stuff. I'm like,
But
no, the
here's-
cool part of Final Fantasy is like exploring this world, and you don't want to show that.
No, we want to show minutes straight of the kaiju battles.
Yes.
That will guarantee sales. I did have the conversation with Bob, kind of, just said it out loud, where I was like, so is them showing so much of this kaiju stuff instead of the rest of the game and having this much showing stuff again and more of it, is this a Sony thing or a Square thing? Because I don't know anymore.
I
It could be
imagine it's
either.
probably a Sony thing. This definitely feels like that they are getting development support from Sony.
I mean, this is Sony's first dub out of all these deals they signed.
I feel like as far as this presentation goes,
I
like
mean,
if I were
financially,
Square,
that Hogwarts Legacy was a dub, sadly.
That's true. Okay.
if I were Square, yeah, I'd want to show all the kaiju battle shit and all the combos and all the sick combat, because if I show any of like the walking around exploring stuff, if I show anything kind of open, people are going to start the, oh, it's an open world game, it sucks discourse. If I show anything more directed and narrow, they're going to start up that hallway shit.
I mean, they did. I mean, Yoshi P did come out. We talked about it where he's like, this is not an open world game. We have to say it or people will get confused.
Mm-hmm. We get to see more NPCs, which look woefully MMO-y.
It's a childhood friend. She was generated in a MMO character creator. I thought it was very funny. It's like, how we look so over designed, and then she's just over there like, hey, like make Sonic 06 sound.
Yes.
Oh, that's hilarious. No, I'm really excited for this game. I'm excited for this game in a way that I haven't been for Final Fantasy since 13. Original.
Which is funny that that's
Right.
also has been part of the marketing where Yoshi P's like, yeah, we have to make people like mainline Final Fantasies again because there was, 15 years where that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
that sure has been the history of Final Fantasy for 15 years.
You can really tell that he's like has the biggest stick at possible at that company because he's allowed to just say shit like, yeah, this is the first actual action game in the Final Fantasy series. Final Fantasy 15 didn't count.
Yeah.
Sir, the 15 had action gameplay. Yeah, but that was soy. Okay. All right. Let me write that down.
Also, that game was half a game.
That game wasn't a game. It was a guh. This is have done. This is the huh to that game's guh.
Oh, no.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, what's up?
Let's talk about Nintendo Live.
Sure.
Bob, what is Nintendo Live?
It is a live event they're holding in Seattle in September.
Wow.
Where we'll have games. That sounds like games that are already out.
Okay.
Live stage performances, tournaments, in photo ops. Presumably, list people as like Mario costumes and stuff. The kind of pitching seems like a family-oriented event to go to.
Okay.
They've done these before. They did them in Japan only before, though. So they did first in 2017, and then they did,
You mean the launch year of the Switch?
yes.
Continue.
Then they did the 2018, 2019 in Japan,
Okay.
and then they, COVID.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
they didn't do another one until 2022 in Japan. That was like an online event, that sort of thing. So this is the first time they're going back to being in public, and also the first time they're bringing it to the United States or anywhere outside of Japan.
So I have a hard
think
question
that-
for you to answer, Bob.
What's up?
Should I go to this event to meet Rocco Bodie because he will be there undoubtedly?
Yes, he will.
Maybe. I don't know. That might be fun.
He's like, don't look at me. And I'm like, sorry.
So, do you think that, because Nintendo tends to actually know how big their dick is, they're never shocked by it.
Unlike me, I'm constantly shocked by how huge mine is.
Do you think they're like, yeah, once the Mario movie comes out, we're going to be able to become Disney?
I think to some extent they're aware of the power they hold, as evidenced by them never lowering the prices on games.
Yes.
Yeah, I need people to understand that, like, that means Mario Kart 8 has made, let me do some quick math here,
more than any post-Avengers MCU film.
more than any Avengers UC. It's made like $4 billion. 60 million times 60?
Okay, one moment. Can I imagine any other
That's
MCU?
That's $3.6 billion. That's more than any movie ever made.
The best part, that's $3.6 billion on a game that was old before it launched.
And it's still selling. Because
you know
why
what? You know
wouldn't
what?
it be?
You know what game made roughly as much as Avengers Endgame? Animal Crossing on the Switch.
Jesus.
Isabel's out there soloing the Avengers.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm excited for that. We can move on.
Sure. Yeah, I was like, this is... Yeah. Harada confirms that there will be rollback netcode and crossplay in Tekken 8. In a really snarky tweet that sounds like offended you would even ask.
And then FGC people were like, based, and I'm like, why? That he confirmed that features of games that weren't in the last one are in? This isn't an own. Harada's like kind of a weird, is like the Kamiya of fighting games, where he's an abrasive asshole for no reason.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is edging pretty clearly into Kamiya territory here.
Right.
To read the tweet for posterity's sake, someone replied to him saying, okay, but will there be rollback? And Harada quote tweeted and said, already installed it. That's right, bitch. He's got the plugin installed. And it already has what you want. The reason why, all caps, we don't make big announcements like crossplay is because, capital C, even if we make big announcements, people like you will only say things like, wah. That's normal in this day and age. So shut up and sit the hell down.
Yeah, it's like, no, these announcements get a lot of legitimate hype. There are weirdos that are like, oh, well, it's expected, but they suck, and you just ignore them. You don't just not do a real announcement and put it on Twitter instead. Just so dumb.
I'm trying to build a metaphor where it's like, yeah, the PS6 doesn't have blood diamonds in it. They just get sassy on Twitter about that. Yeah, dumbass, we stopped using fucking blood diamonds. Fuck. We would have announced it, but you whiny ass bitches are like, there's blood on my hands because I love video games.
My next thing. So X Defiant adds a Sam Fisher outfit, and it seems to come with a man bun. I don't know why. But in the trailers, every single Sam Fisher lookalike has a man bun. It looks really funny.
One moment, I'm like, Bob clearly cannot be right. That's the least Sam Fisher hairstyle I've ever fucking heard. One moment.
Which I don't know. I didn't expect it to literally just have you dress like Sam Fisher and be like, that's a class.
Yeah, it's the Sam Fisher class. Bob, this may not surprise you. It is hard to find images of this. I would have to watch the trailer.
Right. The trailer came out today.
They're only going to show me the front.
Right.
They're only going to, because that's where the business is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to show you the party, which is in the back. Well, thank you, Bob, for the man bun alert.
Yes.
To this big thing.
So if that really is what you need, go get X Defiant right now. Get in that beta.
Mm-hmm.
Try it out.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to be Ubisoft Overwatch.
Yeah, you need to play it because it's going to be gone in a year.
Oh my god,
that's true.
Very true.
That's true.
And my last thing,
Oh.
I got an update for Ark Survival Ascended. That thing
This is our Ark minute.
Yes, that thing we talked about last week. That's like a complete nightmare of a release.
Okay, what's the new news? Don't give me that old news.
So this week they released an apology about bundling with Ark 2. Because if you missed last week,
I like to think a Big Think Dimension clips reel is just these two segments adjoined. They have since apologized.
they apologized that they bundled Ark 2 with this Survival Ascended release to make it $50.
Okay.
And then sell you DLC separate.
Okay.
So now the new plan.
Okay, I'm ready to hear it.
Ark Survival Ascended is $60.
That's higher.
Yes.
They raised the price.
What the fuck?
But you don't have to buy DLC anymore. The DLC is just going to be updated for free.
So it's only $60 for the shit I already own.
Yeah, it's only $60 for what you own already instead of $90.
What a savings.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm standing by what I said last week, where PC players will just continue, go fuck you. I'm gonna play the game I already own and probably have a bunch of mods that won't be compatible with this new version 4, and nobody on console will upgrade.
Hey, that's my car you're trying to steal. You're right. I'll meet you in the middle. Bang, bang. Steals car anyway.
Yeah, the part of this apology statement also includes we are still sunsetting that old game. Just so you know.
The fuck is
It's like you got the outline of the message, I think, but you missed the major parts.
Thank you, Bob, for the Ark minute of the week.
No problem. Hopefully it'll be done with this week.
And that's it for news, right? No one else had any other news slipping at the last second.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else.
Oh,
no, I think that's everything.
I made an allusion to it earlier, but I figure I should spell it out. The same technology they used to make the Portal RTX is now open source and out there for everyone to do. That launched simultaneously with the new video card.
Oh, okay.
So people can RTX mod older games. People are already doing it with Half-Life 2.
Cool.
That will continue to run like shit. Hope you have a 4090.
Not cool.
Whatever. It's okay. You can just do what the countless people have already done. Just turn ray tracing off so it runs well again.
Great. Oh, there's one game I should elevate because I might buy it. I don't know yet though. So let me find out specifically when it comes out.
I was thinking about playing Pizza Tower. I almost
You
did that
should.
this
That's a
week.
really, really fucking great game.
I was this close to doing it, but then I decided to beat Mario 64 3 more times, so that way my number of times I've beaten that is way higher than Chris's number.
There's a version of there's a game coming out in like a week called Buccaneer, and it is a simulation game where you run a sky pirate ship staffed by cats and anime girls.
Oh, damn.
That sounds pretty good.
That sounds really good. Oh, damn.
Apparently apparently there's going to be a Sony version that's going to have English at some point, and the PC version will eventually have English, but they don't seem like they're going to have English at launch, sadly.
Huh. Yeah, the game I almost bought this week was Rusted Moss. Looks really cool. It's like a Metroidvania where you have a grapple hook. I talked about it a few weeks ago because it announced the release date, and now it's out.
One moment, I'm looking at this game as cats and anime girls. You go around on a boat, and that seems pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I watched that trailer for a new Trials of game. That looked like it's a weird like mini game collection. Is that right, Chris? Do you know what I'm talking about?
What game? What game?
It's part of the Trials franchise.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
And it just has mini games?
Yeah, it looked like it was a bunch of like you got a dungeon to explore that was like all
do you
about
remember,
just grinding.
Do you remember any of the? Is it the one that just came out about Reverie?
Yeah, I think it's Reverie something.
No, that's a normal fucking game. I guess they just wanted to show you all the fucking mini games for some reason.
Okay, yeah, I guess that trailer was just all about the mini games.
Yes, it's the features trailer, so it's literally all the mini games.
Weird. It's like in this game you ride around on a jet ski and collect items. I'm not sure what's happening.
Cool. Like a real RPG.
They do tend to have this seems like I don't act because it hasn't in fucking English yet, and I willingly blind myself from seeing things from the Japanese version because I fucking want to play it when it's comes out in English. But it seems like it's doing a thing that Trails in the Sky 3rd did, where it has like lots of weird side things.
Huh.
Oh, I thought Bob was talking about the motorbike game Trials.
No, Trails, not Trials.
Okay.
Trails.
Now he's going to start doing Tails.
Okay, I was confused because there's literally some part of this trailer talks about Trials.
Well, yeah, because Trials in the on the jet
Bob's
ski,
like,
I'm sure.
they're targeting me. You're trying to trick
Yeah,
me.
this is not a great trailer. I'm not entirely sure why they decided we needed it.
Bob, I'm trying to tell Tosh that anecdote where I came over and I was like, "Oh, this is cool chocolate. You bought this for your mom?" And you're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Bob, this says Chocolonely on it. Should you really be buying some chocolate for your mom that says lonely?" And then she's like, "Wait, what?" Because Tosh also had the same chocolate. I'm like, does nobody read the chocolate they buy? So anyway, I can't believe they gaslit you. Like
They did
with the fucking Trials in this trailer.
Oh god, this game is July 7th. That means I have to fucking go through Final Fantasy 12 pretty fucking quick. Or Final
16?
Fantasy 16 pretty fucking quick.
15,
I would never
right?
play 12.
No, it's Jesus.
No, it's 16. He scared me though when he said 12. I was like, excuse me, what?
Just got to get in a quick Final Fantasy 12.
Yeah, Chris is like, come on, Dan. You need to beat Final Fantasy 12 for the spoiler cast. Is Final Fantasy 12 the new Days Gone?
No.
God.
So, Dan, what did you think of the cool job system? It's just a skeleton in my chair. Anyways, that's going to do it for Big Thing to Mention. As I mentioned, tomorrow we're doing an N64 roulette. Reason being, we haven't really used our N64 for streaming ever since it betrayed us.
Yeah, right.
During the Donkey Kong 64 stream. That was very nerve-wracking, and I couldn't figure out why. I think we have figured out why. I think we are safe. We are going to check with this retro roulette. That way we know for certain whether or not we're safe for the Majora's Mask playthrough. Which means tomorrow we are doing a retro roulette for the N64 just to be absolutely certain. Fun fact, I don't have an image for that. So I'm just going to show you, pretend instead of a Game Boy Advance, this is an N64.
Can't wait to see you play Pokemon Ruby on the N64.
Hell yeah, brother! God, could you imagine they were releasing stadium games on the N64 after Ruby was out? Okay, kid, we know you don't own a console. We know your mom hasn't bought you a console since the N64. But I'm very excited for that stream. I actually really like the N64, and I was pretty bummed out that ours was so undependable. But it appears to be the power brick. So we took the power brick from the other N64, plugged it in, seems stable enough for me to beat Mario 64 a few times. So hopefully, I love that Justice Zagat chat. Thumbnail machine broke. Sorry. I hope you don't mean your PC. Oh my God. Anyways, let's see what Chris and Aggro are up to. Aggro, what are you up to?
I plan to silently release an update this week that adds de novo anti-piracy software, quadrupling the size of my executable, if you know what I mean.
Will I be terrified by how big my executable is?
He's improving himself.
Hey, Chris, what do you got going on in the next week?
Well, we didn't hit the goal for Shadow of the Tomb Raider yet, so I need to stream something else. So I guess it'll be Uncharted 1.
Ooh.
We'll have a direct comparison between Tomb Raider and Uncharted 1. The PS4 version of Uncharted 1, of course.
Yeah, you want to get that nice smooth frame rate.
And them fixing the jet ski segments.
Oh, did they do that?
Yes, they did.
I had no idea. Huh. Well, that's going to do it for Big Thing to Mention Mike. Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Big Think to Mention. Big Think to Mention is literally only possible because of your support over at patreon.com/GigaBoots. GB Podcast, where you can... How many hundreds of times have I done this correctly?
Right?
Whatever. Patreon.com/GB Podcast. Get a movie, get other stuff, support us because good Lord, is this a full-time job. And we will see you next week. Bob, can you believe I said Sonic music was better than Mario? Anyway, enjoy our outro theme.